Lynn, you really have no situational awareness. The other saleswoman was practically mugging her. The clients have been here this long, and you haven't even offered them a drink? Go make a pot of good tea. To her, Lynn was just some part-time college student. Bullying her meant nothing. If she could close a sale on a nice property, the commission would be in the tens of thousands. The four of them exchanged glances, all recognizing the woman's blatant attempt to hijack the sale. When they had first walked in, this woman had barely given them the time of day. Now, hearing Leo was serious about buying, her expression changed faster than a flipping page. The college student had been the one helping them this entire time. Sure, the student's sales pitch wasn't polished. She was visibly nervous, stammering frequently, and failing to highlight many of the property's key features. But at least she was earnestly trying to sell her company's listings, diligently doing her job without any hint of cutting corners. If this other woman swooped in and stole the sale at the last minute, the commission would go right into her pocket and the student would get nothing. The young woman was thin-skinned, clearly new to the professional world, and unsure how to fight back against unfair treatment. Her lips parted as if to protest, but she said nothing. Her shoulders slumped in defeat as she wiped a bead of sweat from her forehead, clutched the brochures to her chest, and walked away, the light gone from her eyes. As a fellow college student, Chloe felt a pang of sympathy watching the girl's dejected retreat. She figured she'd probably face the same kind of injustice when she started working. She tugged on Leo's arm, giving him a look that was both pleading and insistent. Leo just smiled, as if he'd expected it. He didn't say anything, but the hand resting on Chloe's shoulder squeezed a little tighter. With the student out of the way, the saleswoman's voice became sickeningly sweet. "Hello, sir. My name is Cheryl, and I'm a sales associate at Timeless Impressions. It's a pleasure to serve you." Leo sized her up, his eyes narrowing. "Oh, and just how pleased are you?" "Extremely pleased," she gushed, ecstatic. "It's an absolute honor to assist you." "Ah, you're celebrating a little early. Step aside." Cheryl's face froze. Question mark. Leo waved a dismissive hand and called out to the student who was getting water from the cooler. "Hey you, come back here. I want you to help me." The student, holding a paper cup under the dispenser, looked up in astonishment, unable to process what was happening. "Get over here," Leo urged impatiently. "Do you want to make a sale or not?" "Oh, yes, of course." A bright, surprised smile spread across the student's face. She quickly grabbed the cup of lukewarm water and hurried over, handing it to Leo respectfully. "Mr. Shepherd, here's some water for you." "Hee, nice one, Leo the pig," Chloe whispered, a triumphant smile on her face as she leaned against his shoulder, her expression a mix of pride and affection. The other two were also impressed by Leo's decisive move. Having come from the university world themselves, they couldn't stand seeing a fellow student treated so unfairly. "Thanks." Leo took a satisfying sip from the cup, then turned his gaze to the stunned, thigh-high wearing saleswoman. "Don't you have any sense? I have 3 other guests here." "But, sir," Cheryl stammered, not ready to give up. She forced a strained, bitter smile. "She's new here. There's a lot she doesn't understand. It will be better if I—" "New? Perfect. I like new." Leo nodded, a move she hadn't anticipated. "Besides, I'm a creature of habit. I don't adapt well to switching people midway through." Chloe tilted her head cutely, a strange feeling creeping over her at her boyfriend's choice of words. "What? You got a problem with that?" Leo jutted his chin toward the saleswoman. "What's your name?" "Oh, right, Cheryl." He had no desire to waste another breath on the kind of opportunistic snob you meet every day. "No, not at all," Cheryl said, managing a polite but deeply awkward smile. She instinctively covered the name tag on her chest and walked toward the water cooler, her expression contorted. "This is the biggest room, so it'll be yours. I'll get you a couple of big closets. I know you have a ton of clothes. Your best friend can have the room next to yours. Ask her if there's any furniture she wants, and I'll get it for her ahead of time. The living room in this place is huge. We can just curl up in there, eat hot pot, and chat. Life doesn't get much better than that. I'll take the room by the window. I can set up a high-end gaming desk there. While my games are loading, I can look out at the view. This place has a lawn, a pretty big one, too. We can have barbecues in the summer, grab some beers. Wow, it'll be perfect. We can just tidy up the remaining 2 rooms. That way my parents or your aunt and uncle will have a place to stay when they visit." After nearly an hour of discussion, Leo decided on a 3-story, 5-bedroom detached house with a total area of about 4,000 square feet. Being roped into buying a house with Leo had initially made Chloe hesitant. But with his silver tongue, Leo had talked her in circles until she was practically buzzing with excitement, eager to move in with him and Maya right away. Once they had settled on the house, the young student salesperson came jogging over with a stack of documents. This was her first ever sale, and it was for a standalone house worth $2,650,000. Her commission alone would be nearly $20,000. In her excitement, she fumbled the files, and they slipped from her arms, scattering white A4 paper all over the floor. "You okay?" Leo shook his head with a smile, helping her pick up the papers as he reassured her. Chloe and Zach quickly pitched in to help. Jenna just sat there, munching on snacks from the table, pretending not to see a thing. Ding! Rainy Woods' affinity toward host has increased by 5 points. Current affinity, 5. Please continue to strive for excellence. I'm fine. Thank you. Thank you so much. The student was overflowing with gratitude. She then began to carefully explain the important points of the contract to Leo and Chloe. Leo was buying a fully furnished commercial property, not an unfurnished shell, so they could move in right after signing and payment. Everyone except Jenna listened intently. It was, after all, their first time buying a house, and there was a lot to learn. Even though Leo had the money, these were things worth learning for the future. Jenna couldn't be bothered. She snapped a few pictures of the contract to post on her social media for clout, then got up to look at the elegant architectural models again. As far as she was concerned, buying and furnishing a house was a man's job. All she had to do was move in. "Chloe, you have your ID, right? Give it to her." All the contract details had been covered. Leo pointed to the blank space on the contract under property owner. "Then just sign here, and that should be it." His words hung in the air. Jenna and Zach looked up at him in disbelief. Even the saleswoman stared, dumbfounded, at the kind, wealthy young man. All three of them realized what was happening. Leo was planning to gift his girlfriend a house worth over $2.5 million. "No, you can't." Chloe was so startled by the gesture that she physically recoiled, pulling away from Leo's embrace. "You're paying for it, so it has to be in your name," she explained frantically. "If my parents found out I just took a house from you, they'd kill me." "Hey, why are you being so stubborn?" Leo said, annoyed. "We're going to be together forever anyway. What difference does it make whose name is on it? But this house is too expensive. I can't." "Damn it, what's there to be scared of? I'm paying for it in full. You don't have to make any loan payments. There's nothing to worry about." They started arguing over whose name should be on the deed. Chloe had never looked so distressed and helpless in front of Leo before. Jenna stood nearby, watching the blank space for the owner's signature and stomping her foot in frustration. Could this woman be any dumber? She thought. This is a $2.5 million house. It's in a prime location, right between the commercial district and PSU. All she has to do is sign, and it's hers. If they ever break up, she won't even have to split the value with him. It's a freebie. There's a limit to how modest you can be, girl. Jenna gritted her teeth, wishing she could snatch the pen and scrawl her own name across the line. "Chloe, you know I'm a director," Leo said, changing tactics when he saw she wasn't budging. "I'll have to travel to other places to shoot, and I'll probably buy property elsewhere. My name will be tied to too many properties. A house we're actually going to live in. If I don't put your name on it, I suppose to put some other woman's?" That did it. Chloe, who had been adamantly refusing, finally wavered. "Really?" Jenna watched Chloe's pained expression, wanting to scream. "Honey, he's giving you a house, not asking you to sell your body. And even if he were, for a nearly $3 million house, I'd be first in line. Why would I lie? You think my company is just going to make those short fiction videos forever? That's not where the real money is." After his little rant, Leo pressed again. "Come on, just sign it. It's getting late. We can go get dinner after this." "Fine," Chloe pouted, still conflicted. Finally, with a trembling hand, she took the pen and signed her name in the blank space for the property owner. "Okay, we're all set," the saleswoman said, gathering the signed documents. "There are a few more forms you'll both need to sign. Please come with me." Watching the three of them leave, Jenna felt a sudden emptiness, her energy completely drained. She turned to Zach, who was staring with an envious expression. "When will you be able to afford a house here?" I don't know." Zach owned a house, but it was in his parents' name. He had no idea what his salary would be at Leo's company after the holidays, so he didn't dare make any grand pronouncements. If his pay was similar to his old job, it would probably take him 30 or 40 years to afford a place like this. "But don't worry, I'll work hard," he said bravely, taking Jenna's hand in his and making a solemn promise. "After the new year, I'll give it my all. I'll do my best to be like Leo and buy a house here too. We can be their neighbors." "Oh," Jenna, convinced he was just selling her a pipe dream, gave him a flat, emotionless look and turned her head away, her expression devoid of any expectation. Only her hand, warm in his, remained. But somehow, The warmth was rapidly fading, just like the hope in Zach's heart, leaving him chilled to the bone. What? Leo bought you a house? For almost $3 million. $3 million? You silly girl. What are your father and I going to say to you? The moment she got in the car, Chloe couldn't wait to call her parents and tell them the news. The couple was so shocked their voices trembled as they scolded their daughter for her thoughtlessness, for not understanding the gravity of what it meant to buy a house. Seeing Chloe look so hurt by the scolding, Leo took the phone. Hello, Carla. It's me, Leo. Leo, you've been so reckless. How could you not discuss something this huge with us? And such an expensive house. You're putting your uncle and me in a very difficult position. Carla, that's what I'm trying to do now. Discuss it with you. After a few pleasantries with Carla Miller, Leo decided to go all in. Carla, I hear Dawn in the background. If you two are free tonight, why don't you come over to my place for dinner? Hearing this, Chloe's head shot up. She looked at Leo, her stunned expression filled with an unexpected surge of joy and anticipation. They had each met the other's parents, but arranging a formal meeting for both sets of parents. That meant Leo was thinking about marriage. Chloe was already in love with Leo. He was her first love. Of course, she hoped to walk down the aisle with him one day. Zach, however, was bewildered and shocked. He knew about Leo's other arrangements. The guy was a player, juggling two women at once. If their parents were meeting for dinner, did that mean Leo had finally made a choice between Chloe and Lily? Had he kicked Lily to the curb? Or had he paid her off and broken up with her peacefully? Was the girl in the passenger seat the one he was going to marry? Only Jenna stared out the window, looking desolate, not wanting to listen to Leo chat with his future mother-in-law. She still hadn't recovered from the shock of the $3 million house. There was a moment of silence on the other end of the line. Then Carla's heavy, resigned voice came through. All right, have Chloe send me the address. Your uncle and I will drive over now. P.S. Should have a few more chapters tonight. Looking for support and good reviews. On the drive home, Zach and Jenna tactfully got out of the car, one after the other. It was the first meeting between both sets of parents. The atmosphere was bound to be formal. Best to skip that dinner. As Leo pulled into the apartment complex's parking garage, Chloe noticed her dad's new Audi A4 was already parked in the spot reserved for Leo's family. Next to it, in a neighbor's spot, was Leo's old Mercedes, which meant his parents were home too. It seemed her parents had already gone upstairs and were talking with Leo's. Leo, I feel so nervous, Chloe said inside the ascending elevator. She clutched the property title, her whole body trembling. It felt just like the first time she'd come here to meet his parents, a mix of anxiety and fluttering anticipation. She hadn't even been this nervous waiting for her SAT scores. Not only was this the first time their parents were meeting, but Leo had also just forced a nearly $3 million house on her. She could guarantee her parents would lecture her about it. What's there to be nervous about? Just gotta face the music and get it over with. Leo shrugged nonchalantly, though he was a little nervous himself. But if he couldn't handle a small scene like this, how was he ever going to manage the minefield of his future love life? I don't have that thing you're talking about, Chloe blurted out, flustered and anxious. She'd responded to his crude joke so instinctively she didn't even have time to feel embarrassed. Don't be scared, Leo said, seeing how genuinely frazzled she was. He took her slightly trembling hand and comforted her patiently. We've both met each other's parents, and they've all approved of us dating. This is no big deal. Then what about this? Chloe held up the property title, worth nearly $3 million, and grumbled. This is all your fault. You just had to put it in my name. Leo smiled, a mix of exasperation and warmth. I put the deed solely in your name, and somehow that's my fault? He thought, if this were a materialistic girl like Jenna, she'd probably be dragging me to the courthouse to get married right now. Don't worry, just try not to say much, Leo promised confidently. Leave everything to me. I'll be your shield. Hearing that, Chloe's nerves finally began to settle. Her boyfriend had always been good at handling these kinds of social situations. A few minutes later, Chloe clung tightly to Leo's arm as they stood nervously before his parents' apartment door. Leo, feeling a little tense himself, took a few shallow breaths and rang the bell. The moment the door opened, a wave of laughter washed over them. It sounded like Don Miller and David Shepard. Well, speak of the devil and he shall appear, said Sharon, Leo's mom, who had opened the door. She beamed and called back into the living room. They're back. Hello, Sharon, Chloe said nervously. Hello. Sharon nodded, her face alight with joy. Honey, hurry up and get inside. Change your shoes. It's freezing out there. Come in where it's warm. As they stepped inside to change their shoes, both sets of parents, along with Leo's two sisters, all 6 of them, gathered by the doorway. They looked like a wedding reception line, all smiles as they gazed at the couple standing arm in arm. Only Leo's sisters had complex expressions that didn't quite match the celebratory mood. "Leo, why didn't you tell me about your dad sooner?" Don Miller spoke first, introducing himself warmly. "Your father and I met a long time ago. We just had drinks together a few days ago." "Huh, really, Don?" Leo asked, curious after changing his shoes. "My dad's in construction, and you're in logistics. How did your paths ever cross?" "During the years you were in college, a real estate developer hosted a networking dinner," David Shepard explained with a smile. Don had just moved to Portland to start his logistics business and was looking to make connections and expand. "I met him at that dinner. I still have his number in my phone." The two older men were in a similar financial bracket, and though their fields were different, it was plausible that a mutual acquaintance had introduced them. "So that's how it happened," Leo said with a flash of understanding, then teased. "Well, look at that. It turns out you two got together first. Chloe and I are the second couple." "Ha ha, you brat." Everyone burst into laughter, making the already warm atmosphere even more lively. All right. Let's not all stand here at the door like we're waiting for the bride," Leo said, wrapping an arm around Chloe's waist and waving his hand with feigned shyness. "It's not time for that yet." Haha, another round of laughter, but this time it was filled with warmth and hope. Both sets of parents were clearly pleased with their children's choice of partner, and Leo and Chloe's affection for each other was plain to see. If things continued this way, they could look forward to a perfect and enviable wedding after Chloe graduated. Chatting and laughing, they all moved to the living room and sat down. Chloe sat next to Leo and glanced nervously at her mom, Carla. "Mom, Leo made me sign. It wasn't my idea." Spotting the stern, questioning look in her mother's eyes, Chloe quickly handed the property title to Carla, decisively throwing Leo under the bus. Carla glanced at the contract, then shot Chloe a cold look before turning to Leo with feigned anger. "Leo, it's not that I'm trying to criticize you, but buying a house is a huge deal. Why didn't you discuss it with the adults first?" Leo could tell she wasn't actually angry. Her tone was more one of affectionate complaint. He had, after all, bought her daughter a very expensive house. It was a sign of his love and commitment. As Chloe's mother, Carla had no reason to be angry with him. In fact, she was probably thrilled to have such a generous and devoted son-in-law. The gift was just so valuable that she and her husband didn't know how to reciprocate, which led to this feeling of flustered grievance. 1. It's okay, Carla. I love Chloe, and we're going to get married someday. 2. My work will require me to acquire more properties for filming locations, so having too many in my name will be inconvenient. It's better to just put it in Chloe's name since we're going to spend our lives together anyway. 3. I have to be fair, right? The sweet dummy from Willow Creek already has one, so of course Chloe needs one too. How about it? Carla, would you like one as well? Carla, my company isn't even up and running yet, otherwise I would have put it under the business's name. Personally, I'll probably need to acquire more properties for filming locations or for promotional work. Having too many in my name could get complicated later on. Leo held Chloe's hand as he spoke, painting a picture of their future. It's better just to put in Chloe's name. We're going to spend our lives together anyway, so it doesn't matter whose name it's in. Ding! Carla Miller's affinity toward host has increased by 3 points. Current affinity, 13. Please continue to strive for excellence. Is that so? Carla pretended to consider it, then shot a subtle glance at Dawn. She wanted to know what was going on with Leo's company. How long had it been since they'd last seen him? He had a company now? How big was it? Was it involved in anything illicit? How were its profits? These were all things Carla needed to know. This was the man who would be marrying her daughter, after all. As the mother-in-law, she needed the full picture. With the title to a nearly $3 million house in her hand, she couldn't be the one to ask about her future son-in-law's finances. Otherwise, her new in-laws might brand her a gold digger. After all, Leo had already gifted her daughter a house worth millions. Pressing him about his other sources of income could easily make his family defensive. For people like them, who had built their own families and careers, their children's marriages weren't just about romance and happiness. They also involved a fair amount of practical and financial considerations. Ahem, Leo, your video account was doing so well. Why get tangled up in starting a company? Don understood his wife's signal. He cleared his throat, rubbing his nose as he began to probe indirectly. The internet is a tricky business these days. You should really do your research before jumping in. You don't want to lose money. Don't worry, Don. The office is already being renovated. We'll be operational right after the new year, Leo said bluntly. If it's managed properly, it'll definitely make more than my videos. Who knows, we might even get to work with some big-name movie stars down the line. Oh, really? Having gotten the key information he needed, Don slapped his knee in satisfaction and gave Leo an encouraging thumbs up. If you do end up making movies, make sure to shoot a few good action flicks. I love those. Leo, don't listen to your uncle. All that fighting and killing is pointless, Carla interjected with a wide smile. Just make whatever sells and earns money. Leo replied politely, I'll definitely try to do both if I get the chance. Sharon and David exchanged a serious look. Leo had been up to so much lately, and they hadn't known a thing. They made a silent pact to properly interrogate their son after their guests left and find out exactly what he had been doing. As for Leo gifting Chloe a house worth millions under her name alone, Sharon had initially thought it was reckless. But then she remembered her son's absurd income this year and figured it wasn't such a big deal. Besides, she adored Chloe and hoped her son would marry her. The house could just be their marital home. It was now just after 4 in the afternoon, so of course, Chloe's parents were staying for dinner. With the financial matters settled, the parents began discussing the couple's future. Uncharacteristically, Sophie listened intently to their conversation, occasionally mouthing words to herself with a serious expression. Riley, on the other hand, pouted and slumped against Leo, her face a mask of aggrieved frustration, as if someone owed her millions. David and Don planned out the couple's future careers and living arrangements, discussing practical, real-world issues. Carla and Sharon chatted about their relationship, occasionally teasing them about romantic little moments, making Chloe blush and beg for mercy. Chloe was already thin-skinned, and having these embarrassing stories recounted in front of both sets of parents soon had her cheeks burning. She tugged at Leo, wanting to escape downstairs to play in the snow and flee the mortifying scene. All right, let's go. Leo got a text from Zach saying he was nearby and slapped his knees as he stood up. Mom, Dad, Don, Carla, you guys keep chatting. I'm going to hang out with a friend downstairs for a bit. Just call us when dinner's ready. And remember to set out 2 extra sets of plates and silverware. A friend is coming over. Bro, I want to go too. Riley raised her hand and instinctively pulled on Sophie's arm, her earnest gaze saying, Come on, let's rebel together. It's too cold outside. I think I'll stay, Sophie said, shaking her head slightly. She smiled sweetly, glancing at Chloe, who was holding Leo's arm, and added in a helpless tone, Riley, you shouldn't be a third wheel. Bro is a girlfriend now. It's not our place to tag along. Exactly. Why can't you read the room? Sharon scolded good-naturedly. Do you still expect your brother to wait on you hand and foot like when you were kids? He has a girlfriend now. It's really no problem, Chloe said, shaking her head and waving her hand to clear up the misunderstanding as they put on their shoes. We're just going downstairs to play in the snow. Anyone who wants to come is welcome. Leo's friend is there too. Really? We wouldn't be bothering you. Sophie asked with a hopeful look. If any other girl had said it, the comment would have been dripping with passive aggression. Of course not, Chloe replied decisively. Come on, let's go build a snowman. You're so nice, Chloe. No wonder my brother is so crazy about you, Sophie said, clapping her hands together and quickly getting up to join Leo. Chloe's brow furrowed slightly. Something about that comment fell off. Chloe, you dropped your phone. Sharon picked up the phone from the couch and handed it to her. It must have fallen out when she stood up. Thanks, Sharon. As Chloe walked over to get her phone, the 2 sisters dashed to the door, quickly changed their shoes, and flanked Leo, grabbing his arms and pushing him toward the elevator. Hurry up, okay? Leo called over his shoulder as the sisters whisked him away. Just as Chloe was about to reply, she caught Sophie flashing her a fleeting, disdainful smirk. The challenge was unmistakable. Chloe realized then that the girl had been deliberately provoking her. Leo had told her his sisters were a bit clingy, but she hadn't realized it was this bad. They were completely obsessed with their brother. Whatever, they're just his sisters. It's not like they can marry him, Chloe thought with a triumphant little huff, walking confidently toward the 3 of them by the elevator. When she reached his side, Leo instinctively pushed the clingy Riley away and pulled Chloe into his arms. The motion was almost muscle memory by now. He could even automatically adjust the position and pressure of his hand on her waist based on which girlfriend's height and preferences he was accommodating. Sophie Shepherd, right? Chloe leaned against Leo's shoulder, a sweet, harmless smile on her face as she looked at the stunned girl. Want to exchange numbers? After the new year, your brother and I are moving into the new house, so you won't get to see him as much. If you miss him and he's busy, you can just text me. Since I'll be living with him, I'll be the first to know when he's free. Leo, who in the past would have been oblivious to the tension-filled atmosphere, might have even asked, what's wrong? Now he was as sharp as a tack. The slightest shift in mood, and he could sense it immediately. Girls really are childish creatures, he thought with an inward sigh, feeling the undercurrent of competition between his girlfriend and his sister. He quickly tried to think of a new topic to distract them. Hadn't he read online that in the journey from acquaintance to marriage and parenthood, A woman's greatest female rivals, besides other women, were her mother-in-law and sister-in-law. The problem was, taking sides was a losing game. It was as tricky as the age-old mother-in-law dynamic. You were caught between a rock and a hard place. The four of them reached the ground floor, where Zach and Jenna were already waiting. They had been warming up at a Starbucks and were now sitting at a stone table in the complex's plaza. Each held a Starbucks cup, with a few small pastries on the table between them. Without a doubt, the bill for this little break had been covered by the eternal sucker, Zach. The most pathetic part was that Zach hardly dared to touch the pastries. He just nursed his hot coffee, chattering away at Jenna, who wasn't in high spirits. She offered a few quiet responses, her thumbs flying across her phone screen, her attention completely absorbed by it. She had posted several luxury-filled photos with Leo to her social media today, and likes and comments were already pouring in from her friends and various simps. Bro, did Zach actually win Jenna over? Riley asked bluntly. She's such a conniving, basic girl. Only Zach would fall for someone like that. Riley knew most of Leo's friends and had even played online games with them. She was well aware of Zach's long-standing crush on Jenna. She just never thought he'd actually succeed. You think so? I think Jenna's really nice, Sophie said, blinking innocently. Besides, Zach won her over, didn't he? It's like they say, sincerity can move mountains. Leo shot his clueless sister a baffled look, wanting to ask, when exactly did you go blind? Chloe, holding Leo's arm, watched Sophie out of the corner of her eye. She had a feeling her boyfriend's youngest sister was anything but simple, far more difficult to read than Riley. Sophie. As the four approached, Jenna's face lit up, and she looked at Sophie excitedly, as if she had a million things to say. Sophie cast an imperceptible glance at Zach before smiling with interest. Jenna, how have you been? Jenna just gave a wry smile and said nothing. The two of them started talking in low voices as they walked off to the side, clearly discussing something they didn't want the others to hear. What's this? Are Sophie and Jenna close? Leo asked Riley, pulling his gaze away. Riley replied nonchalantly, yeah, they're super close. They hang out all the time. You didn't know, bro? How the hell would I know? When did this happen? Leo demanded, a sense of urgency in his voice. He was worried his innocent little sister was being brainwashed by a gold-digging manipulator like Jenna. Sophie knew Jenna back when we were in high school. I think Jenna had just graduated from college then, Riley recalled. That was probably around the time Zach first started simping for her. What? They've known each other that long. Leo was horrified. Back then, he'd been spending all his time battling it out in land centers with Zach and the guys. He had paid zero attention to his sister's social lives. It was a classic sibling dynamic. Once they grew up, they lived separate lives. What older brother actually cared about who his sister's friends were? A thought struck him. That was around the time Zach started obsessing over Jenna and stopped hanging out with him as much. That's when their little group had started to drift apart. And that's when Leo had gradually become more of a homebody. Sophie, you have no idea. That guy tried to kiss me this morning. Luckily, Jenna caught Sophie's warning glance and immediately shut her mouth. Just then, Leo's voice came from behind them. What are you two talking about? Leo tilted his head, smiling tentatively. You had to walk all the way over here to chat. Is it something we can't hear? Bro, it's not nice to eavesdrop on girls, Jenna said with a sheepish, guilty smile, her eyes darting away. It was Sophie who smiled sweetly and replied, You have a girlfriend. Don't you know about these things? Fair point. Leo's eyes flicked between the two of them, a feeling that they were hiding something from him. Bro, Sophie, come on, we're building a snowman. Riley's boisterous voice called from behind them, breaking his train of thought. Leo turned to see his sister already bent over, pushing a massive snowball like a little kid, having the time of her life. Chloe was squatting in the snow nearby, drawing something with a stick, a hopeful and dreamy smile on her face. Zach was looking over at them curiously, wondering what Leo and his sister were talking to his girlfriend about. Come on, bro, it was nothing. Why are you overthinking it? Let's go build a snowman, Sophie said, taking Leo's arm and leading him with a cheerful smile toward the boisterous Riley. You should stay away from her in the future, Leo warned in a low voice. She's a user. You don't want that rubbing off on you. Sophie didn't seem bothered by Leo's criticism of Jenna. Instead, she looked up with a curious expression and asked a very pointed question. But bro, I thought guys like girls like that. We like the kind and considerate ones, Leo explained patiently. They know when to act vulnerable, they give positive feedback, and they satisfy a man's need to be needed and admired. A girl like Jenna, who just leeches off your friend Zach, is the bad kind. Only simps fall for that. Wow, bro, you know so much, Sophie said, her eyes wide with admiration. I feel like I barely recognize you anymore. You're rich, you're handsome, and most importantly, You found a girlfriend. I'm so curious how you did it. Silly girl. No matter how much I change, I'm still your brother, Leo said, brushing off the comment. He pulled his arm free from Sophie's grasp and ran over, landing a punch on the snowman's head Riley had just finished, shattering it. Riley shrieked, grabbed a snowball, and chased after him, pelting him relentlessly. Watching the siblings chase each other, Sophie pursed her lips and murmured softly, "It's not like we're blood-related anyway." The snow had been falling heavier each day, more than Portland had seen in years. The complex's maintenance crew hadn't cleared the plaza, and the children and parents living there were happily taking pictures and building snowmen. Overhead, belly-to-belly, suplex. Leo, caught up in the fun, grabbed Riley, who was clinging to him like a limpet, and tossed her unceremoniously into a snowdrift. A cloud of white powder erupted, and she sank into the fluffy depths. "It's so cold, you fucking boomer." Snow slid down the collar of her warm coat, and Riley shrieked, a cold shock running through her. She scrambled out of the snow, her face flushed, and charged at Leo with her arms outstretched. Though they were brother and sister, they wrestled like a pair of rowdy brothers, roughhousing in the snow without a second thought. Riley was stubborn. No matter how many times Leo threw her into the snow, she'd get back up and launch herself at his now much stronger frame. Her face was a mask of fury, but anyone could see she was having a blast. The childish, playful fight between the siblings made Chloe, who was building her own snowman nearby, tilt her head and frown before she burst out laughing. How did I ever fall for this dork? She wondered. In her mind, Leo had always been a guy who was occasionally improper, his mind full of dirty thoughts, always trying to get handsy when they were alone. But for the most part, he was a funny, charming boyfriend who could always make her happy. She had never seen this childish side of him before. No wonder women online often complained that all relationships were like dating a younger man because men never truly grow up. Or maybe boyfriends really were, as the book said, just overgrown children. No matter how mature they acted, it was all a facade. Their true nature was childishness. Of course, Chloe didn't find this side of Leo off-putting. On the contrary, she felt that at this moment, he was more real than ever. It gave her a sense of down-to-earth intimacy, a feeling of, oh, so my boyfriend does silly things like this too? What are you laughing at? Leo, in the middle of his fun, turned and saw Chloe watching him with a look one might give a beloved idiot. He raised his fist and smashed the little snowman she'd just built. "I spent so long on that." Chloe yelped indignant. She bent down, scooped up a handful of snow, packed it into a ball, and threw it with perfect accuracy, hitting Leo square in the chest. A triumphant smirk spread across her face. "Oh, you're on." Leo's interest was piqued. He strode over, lifted Chloe up, and tossed her gently into a snowdrift before running away, cackling. "Leo, you pig." And just like that, Chloe, covered in snow, rolled up her sleeves and joined the childish battle. The girlfriend and the sister-in-law, armed with snowballs, chased Leo all over the complex. "Jenna, let's have a snowball fight too. We could just take a shower when we get back," Zach said, watching them with excitement. "Are you serious? How old are you? A snowball fight? Is that not the most childish thing you've ever heard?" Jenna looked Zach up and down with disgust. "There are people everywhere. If you're not embarrassed, I am." To Jenna, Leo was successful and famous. When he played like this, she didn't see it as childish. She saw it as a sign of a youthful spirit. But for Zach, a man with no achievements to his name, to suggest they do the same, she saw it as a lack of ambition. He had no money, no drive to make any, and now he wanted to drag her down into his foolishness? It was just a suggestion. If you don't want it, that's fine. Zach forced a smile, his expression falling. He was always so careful around this hard-won, yet distant girlfriend. He turned back to watch the other three, a fond smile on his face. But soon, that smile turned bitter. Zach didn't understand. They were both girlfriends. Why could Leo's girlfriend roughhouse and have fun with him, while his own always kept him at arm's length? Why did she shoot down every idea he had so cruelly? If Leo had heard his thoughts, he would have laid out the brutal truth. A girl is willing to act silly and playful with a guy she likes. With a guy she doesn't, she instantly turns into a stone-faced Sherlock Holmes. Don't you get it, man? This slut doesn't like you at all. "Sophie, where are you going?" Jenna called out as Sophie stood up and started walking toward the apartment building. "Stay and chat a little longer. I don't want to be a third wheel. Besides," Sophie smiled, then turned to watch the other three for a long moment, a playful, mocking smirk on her lips. She stepped onto the snow-covered path and disappeared into the building's entrance. The chokeslam. In the snow, Leo, mimicking a pro wrestling move, grabbed both Chloe and Riley, one in each hand, and with a great whoosh, tossed them back into the snowdrift. As the saying goes, what's the point of getting a girlfriend if you don't play with her? Same goes for sisters. Leo. Just then, Don Miller's voice came from behind him. Leo turned to see Don and Carla standing there. Ah, Don, Carla. We were just messing around, Leo said, brushing the snow from his hands with a sheepish grin. To be caught tossing your girlfriend into the snow like a sack of potatoes by her father was, to put it mildly, awkward. Yeah, Dad, Mom. We were just playing, Chloe said, scrambling to her feet and dusting herself off, explaining nervously to her parents. She was afraid they'd think Leo was bullying her. You think I don't know that? As if Leo would really bully you, Don said with a snort. It's a miracle you don't bully him more. Chloe, ? Leo, your uncle and I have to run. Something came up. We won't be able to stay for dinner with your parents, Carla said with a smile, then turned to Chloe. Do you want to come with us, you messy thing? Or are you staying here for dinner tonight? Chloe hesitated for a moment, then looked at Leo's harmless, goofy smile. Her cheeks flushed as she mumbled. You guys go ahead. Carla gave her all-too-transparent daughter a playful, knowing look, then left with Don. The deed was probably done anyway. The parents had met. They'd just wait for Chloe to graduate, and then they could get married. Drive safe, Don, Carla, Leo called after them. The couple waved back with a smile and drove off in their Audi. A moment later, Sharon came hurrying out of the building. Leo, where are Chloe's parents? They just left. What's up? Oh, nothing. I just wanted to see them off, Sharon said nonchalantly, her happy gaze falling on the lovely Chloe. It didn't matter if the parents had left. The girl was still here. Sharon. The moment she saw Leo's mom, Chloe dropped the mischievous persona she'd had with Leo and adopted a tearful, aggrieved tone. Leo just picked me up and threw me in the snow. It was so cold. Mom, this is just how couples flirt. We were playing around. All our neighbors are watching. Give me a break. Sharon, who already adored the lively and polite girl and couldn't wait to spoil her, was incensed to hear that her own son had been so rough with her. She raised her hand and unleashed a flurry of slaps against Leo's thick, well-padded body. With his ridiculously enhanced physique, Leo wasn't worried about the damage, especially since he was wearing a thick down jacket. The slaps made loud, thwacking sounds against the fabric, but they didn't hurt at all. The real problem was the audience. The complex was full of neighbors they saw every day. Getting spanked by his mom at his age, with Zach and Jenna watching no less, was mortifying. You're getting more and more out of hand. Bullying your sister is one thing, but now you're picking on other girls. Sharon, tired from her exertions, pulled Chloe behind her like a mother eagle protecting her chick and huffed indignantly. Chloe, if this boy bullies you again, you tell me. I'll take care of him for you. Hee okay, Sharon, Chloe chirped, peeking out from behind Sharon with a triumphant, mischievous grin. All right, so that's how we're playing it. You can't win, so you tattle, Leo said, nodding his head, half angry, half amused. Go ahead and gloat, he thought. Just you wait and see how I get you back tonight. Hey, Mom, what do you mean? Bullying me is one thing, Riley complained, unwilling to let it slide. I'm your daughter too. Why does this old man get to bully me like this? I object. Don't be a smart mouth. Objection overruled. Go to the market at the entrance and get me a bottle of vinegar, Sharon ordered. We don't have enough of the steamed sea base. Oomph. Riley shot a scowling Leo a playful face, then hummed a happy little tune as she headed toward the convenience store. Sharon, you guys go on back inside. I'll go with her, Chloe said. After a quick word, she hurried after Riley. Neither Sharon nor Leo stopped her. They knew Chloe was trying to build a good relationship with her future sister-in-law, so they turned and went upstairs. Riley, wait up, Chloe called, her tone and address deliberately intimate as she caught up to her. Don't. Just use my full name. You're giving me goosebumps, Riley said with a shudder, crossing her arms in disgust. After I marry your brother, we'll be family, Chloe said cheerfully, unbothered. You'll have to call me that sooner or later. Might as well get used to it now. Since she was going to be with Leo, Chloe knew she had to deal with the two obstacles in her path. Sharon was so nice that she couldn't imagine ever having mother-in-law problems. But Leo's sisters were another story, especially Sophie. Her intuition told her that girl was trouble. Chloe decided to start with the simple-minded Riley. Once Riley was on her side, she could slowly work on the deeply calculating Sophie. Are you really going to marry my brother? Riley asked glumly, her voice a mix of dejection and reluctance. It was the feeling of seeing someone who had always taken care of you suddenly start taking care of someone else, as if they were never coming back. Riley, I know you love your brother, but you're his sister, Chloe said gently. You're going to get married someday, and your brother is going to marry. Marry me. You can't cling to him forever, can you? Who loves him? Don't be ridiculous. I'm just worried I won't have anyone to hit up for money, Riley retorted, her hands in her pockets as she sulked and kicked at a small stone on the ground. She understood all these worldly truths, but when the day actually came, she just didn't want to face it. It was like a brother watching his sister get married off, a feeling of reluctant loss and melancholy helplessness. How about this? If you promise not to interfere with my and your brother's daily life, Chloe said, clapping her hands together with a bright, hopeful smile, I promise that after your brother proposes to me, you can come over and hang out with him whenever you want. You can even live with us. You can move out whenever you feel like it. On holidays, your brother and I can even take you traveling. Her future marital home already had Maya living in it. What was one more girl? Besides, this was Leo's actual sister. Maybe she could even help with their kids someday. She'd probably only stay for a year or two at most. It wasn't like the girl would be obsessed with her brother her whole life and never get a boyfriend or get married. Right? Really? Riley's eyes lit up, shining with hope. Chloe's mouth twitched. A second ago, the girl was denying her brother complex, and now she was completely sold after just a few sentences. Could she be any more transparent? Of course, Chloe said, crossing her arms with a look of certainty. But my brother won't agree. Riley's face fell. He'll definitely say I'm too much trouble. He won't. Your brother does whatever I say. If I say 1, he doesn't dare say 2. If I tell him to go east, he won't go west, Chloe declared, puffing out her chest. As long as I explain it to him, you'll definitely be able to move in. He does whatever you say? Really? You make it sound so certain. Riley eyed Chloe skeptically. She was still damp, the snow melting on her clothes, all thanks to the maniacal Leo. The image of Leo tossing Chloe into the snow like a rag doll was still fresh in her mind. Why would I lie to you? As long as you don't bother me and your brother, I promise I'll let you stay with us for a few years, Chloe pledged with determination. Okay, I believe you. Riley pulled out her phone, opened the camera app, and aimed the lens at the disheveled Chloe. Let's record this as proof. Chloe shook her head, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. The girl really was just as Leo had described. Not a bad bone in her body, just a bizarre way of thinking. But this was good. With the simple-minded Riley taken care of, Chloe could free up her hands to deal with that other girl, Sophie. We'll have to get a hotel after dinner. As soon as Chloe and Riley returned with the vinegar, Leo made the announcement with a resigned expression. My sister was studying in my room and accidentally spilled water on the bed. The comforter and blankets are all in the wash, and we don't have any spares. We'll have to stay somewhere else tonight. Chloe, you and Leo should get a hotel tonight. Sharon, hanging sheets and blankets on the balcony, turned her head and offered a helpless smile. The bedding in Leo's room is completely soaked, and I've already put the old set in the wash. It's not dry yet. It's no problem, Sharon, Chloe replied with an easygoing smile. It's fine wherever we sleep. This way, we won't be a bother to you tonight. Not at all, not at all. Sharon shook her head happily. She absolutely loved Chloe's eloquent, high EQ personality. I'm so sorry, Chloe. I really didn't mean to. Sophie, sitting next to Jenna, apologized with a face full of remorse. If I had known you were staying over to sleep with my brother tonight, I wouldn't have gone into his room to study. Here, have some fruit. Listening to Sophie's passive-aggressive speech, Jenna's face was alight with unconcealed glee, practically hoping they would start fighting. In a rare gesture, she picked up a grape and popped it into Zach's mouth as a reward. Zach, who thought it was all just a misunderstanding and was oblivious to the undercurrents, was ecstatic to receive the playful feeding from Jenna. Oh, I wasn't planning on staying here anyway. Even with her good temper, Chloe couldn't tolerate Sophie's blatant provocation. She hooked her arm through Leo's and said, her tone both sweet and a little shy, your brother and I already booked a hotel this morning. Well, the blunt statement earned a suggestive sigh from Jenna. Zach was so envious his fists were clenched. He hadn't even managed to kiss Jenna yet, and Leo and Chloe had already hit a home run, probably more than once. It was a classic case of fearing for your friend's struggles, but also fearing his success. Ahem, I'll go check on the soup. David, who had been scrolling through news clips on his phone, stood up and headed for the kitchen, a hint of an irrepressible, knowing smile on his slightly weathered face. On the balcony, Sharon overheard Chloe's comment and broke into a grin so wide she was practically vibrating with excitement. She was already thinking of names for her future grandchildren. You already ate? Bro. Riley shot Leo a look filled with a complicated mix of emotions. Hey, my ass. Get lost, Leo grumbled. He was in no mood to deal with his sister's internet slang. Through Chloe's lie, he had sensed that the atmosphere between her and Sophie was off, thick with tension. What he found strange was that Sophie hadn't reacted this way the other times he brought Chloe home. Why was she targeting her now? Riley, the clingy one, hadn't said much today, but it was the usually polite and sensible Sophie who had initiated the conflict. Had something happened between them when he wasn't looking? The main problem was that both their parents were present, so he couldn't ask directly without escalating the unpleasant atmosphere. Sophie's gaze darkened as she stared at Chloe for a moment. Then she broke into a harmless smile. Well, that's good. I was worried you'd have to take an Uber home alone tonight. How could that happen? I'm your brother's girlfriend. He would never let me take an Uber home alone, Chloe said, snuggling up to Leo on the couch and going for the kill. Sophie, you'll understand when you get a boyfriend. If he really loves you, he won't let you suffer any hardship. Also if... Chloe, let's look at the plans for the house we just bought. Leo cut in, not wanting the little skirmish to continue. He quickly pulled out his phone and opened the floor plans he had saved, tried to change the subject. Seeing the surprised look on Sophie's face, Chloe gave a triumphant little huff, deciding to be the bigger person. She started cooing over the future house plans with Leo. At the beginning of the semester, Chloe's popularity had led to her being targeted online by some jealous upper and underclassmen on the campus subreddit. After Leo had comforted her, Maya had taught her a thing or two about dealing with mean girls. She hadn't wanted to use those skills on her future sister-in-law, but the girl was pushing her limits. If Chloe let it go on any longer, she'd be walking all over her. Riley also gathered around them curiously, chattering away about her future dedicated room. Sophie, this one's got some serious skills, Jenna whispered in Sophie's ear. Sophie acted as if she hadn't heard. She elegantly picked up a slice of fruit and ate it bite by bite, her eyes shifting as if deep in thought. After dinner, Zach and Jenna said their goodbyes. The whole family sat on the couch, discussing Leo and Chloe's future and the approaching holidays. Chloe's parents said today that her family will take care of the entire wedding. We don't have to pay a cent, David said expectantly. They also said they're going to buy you two a house in Florida, in Leo's name, so it'll be convenient when you go back to visit them. Leo had bought Chloe such an expensive house, and her family was very well off. Of course, they would reciprocate with something of equal value. If the son-in-law had to worry about wedding expenses, Don Miller, a proud Floridian, would be shamed by his relatives. Leo stared blankly at the coffee table. David's words filtered through his mind and were processed as follows. Chloe's parents bought you a house in Florida, free of charge. And now that you're making so much money, you'd better not be playing around. Sharon warned sternly. After you get married, you settle down and live a good life with Chloe. If you have kids, your father and I will retire and help you take care of them. What Leo heard was, now that you're making so much money, if you have kids, your father and I will help you take care of them. Sharon, I'm only a freshman. Kids are still a long way off. Chloe blushed and lowered her head, looking like a shy, newly betrothed bride. You're not that young. When I was your age, Riley was already old enough to run errands. Ahem. David coughed pointedly. Sharon froze, then realized her slip-up. Anyway, if you and Leo have kids, your uncle and I will help you take care of them. Huh? She said, flustered. Sophie watched her panicked parents in silence, a knowing, weary smile on her face. I don't know why they keep hiding it. It would be so much better if they just told the truth. Hey bro, I'm curious. Who's going to manage the money after you get married? You're making so much now, and you have a media company. You should really lock down who's in charge of the finances before you tie the knot. Sophie continued her analysis, matter-of-factly. How the money is managed and spent needs to be discussed before the wedding to avoid conflicts later on. Hiss. Leo turned his head to stare at Sophie. This was no longer subtle. She was now openly trying to drive a wedge between him and Chloe. The question seemed innocent enough, a sister-in-law curious about their future financial situation, but both the tone and the timing were completely inappropriate. Simply put, Sophie was forcing Leo to declare, in front of everyone, who would hold the financial power in their marriage, who would wear the pants. No matter if he said himself or Chloe, it would affect their relationship in some way. Leo was baffled. Why had she become so sharp-tongued? 1. The wife, of course. As they say, the man works outside, the woman manages the home. My money will all be managed by your sister-in-law. 2. Silly girl, you think this is child's play? My money will obviously be managed by my company's accountant. 3. Don't get ahead of yourself. One more word and you'll get a slap. Mom and Dad haven't even said anything. Do you really think your brother and sister-in-law's business is any of your concern? Silly girl, you think this is child's play? Leo said, his brow furrowed in disapproval. My money will obviously be managed by my company's accountant. The company's accountant handles the big money, but what about the small stuff? Who's going to handle that after you're married? Sophie. Leo's eyes narrowed slightly, his tone a clear warning. I don't think my business is any of your concern. He wasn't going to tolerate such blatant pot stirring. Even though he loved his sister, He could still tell right from wrong. He desperately wanted to know what had turned his sweet, polite, universally loved sister into this. Even if she was clingy and jealous of Chloe, it shouldn't have led to her laying such a manipulative trap. Damn it. It must be that conniving bitch Jenna. That girl is a natural-born manipulator. Her brainwashing skills are on another level. The atmosphere in the living room froze for a few seconds. A flicker of hurt crossed Sophie's face. It was the first time Leo had ever sided with someone else against her. "You're right," Sophie said, stretching with feigned casualness. Her voice was lazy as she teased. "Now that you're rich, bro, you've got a lot more confidence. Don't forget your little sister after you get married, okay?" She nonchalantly picked up a piece of fruit and went back to her room. His parents exchanged a look. They had noticed Sophie's jealousy, but they didn't think much of it. The girls had been attached to Leo's hip since they were little. Now that they were older, they pretended to be annoyed by him. But at home, nearly all their conversations revolved around him. It would be hard for them to suddenly sever a bond that had been built over so many years. They figured that once Leo got married and lived on his own for a few years, the girls would get used to it. After saying goodbye to his parents, Leo walked with Chloe, arm in arm, across the snow-covered plaza. "Leo, do you think your sister, Sophie, is acting a little strange?" Chloe finally asked, her voice hesitant and worried. "Do you think she cares about you a little too much?" "I know. Both of them have a brother complex. I'm guessing she's the one who spilled water on my bed, too," Leo admitted with a nod. "Fisk, it's my fault. I spoiled them rotten growing up. Now, it's a bit tricky to handle. So what do we do?" Chloe asked, looking like she was facing a formidable enemy. She didn't want a troublemaking sister-in-law meddling in her relationship with Leo. If it were Riley, she wouldn't care. That girl was simple-minded and straightforward. Once they got along, she'd probably be a great sister-in-law. But Sophie gave off the impression of being deeply calculating. Her conversational skills were on another level, and she had a passive-aggressive streak that seemed out of place for an 18-year-old who'd never had a boyfriend. "Why are you so nervous?" Leo chuckled. "She's just my sister, not some evil stepmother from a novel. She'll get over it in a little while. She'll probably come crawling back to me for money soon enough." "I don't think so," Chloe said, shaking her head seriously. "Let me tell you a story," Leo said, adjusting the collar of her coat and reminiscing. "Back in my freshman year, I had this online thing with a girl. I never knew what she looked like, never even heard her voice. She might have even been a guy for all I know, but she was just so incredibly sweet, and we had similar interests. Most importantly, she was really good at understanding my feelings. I was super awkward back then, but I could talk to her all night." "Uh-huh, so I'm not your first love." Chloe punched him playfully, a hint of jealousy in her voice. Then she looked up at him, curious. "What happened next?" "Next? Ugh. Don't even get me started," Leo grumbled. "I don't know what got into her, but it was like she became a different person overnight. She told me she was just messing around with a loser like me. And did I even own a mirror? She just randomly deleted me." "What? Why would she do that?" Chloe asked, baffled. "That's what I'm saying," Leo said, a bitter laugh escaping him. "Damn it. I was really going to ask that girl out. But then she pulled that stunt. It almost sent me into a depression. Then I told my sisters about it. They laughed their asses off, of course, but they also spent every day trying to cheer me up and introducing me to other girls," Leo recalled with a warm sigh. "Especially Sophie. I remember she took a week off from school just to stay home with me, trying to lift my spirits. It was like she was terrified I was going to do something stupid." Leo glanced around, then lowered his voice. "Don't laugh, but one time I couldn't hold it in and actually cried in her arms." "Huh, you cry, Leo the pig?" Chloe giggled sweetly. She loved it when Leo shared these secret, vulnerable parts of himself with her. "Hey, even young guys have their weak moments," Leo mumbled, his face flushing. "So, you see, my sisters aren't as bad as you think. They just depend on me a little too much." I get it now," Chloe said, nodding, a wave of relief washing over her. She decided she had been overthinking things. "Yes." Leo stopped dead in his tracks, his brow furrowed as he seriously sifted through his memories. He felt like someone had been pulling the strings behind that whole confession incident. Slowly, his eyes widened. A horrifying chill ran down his spine. He snapped his head up, looking at the window of his parents' apartment. What's wrong?" Chloe asked, blinking curiously. "Nothing," Leo said with a forced smile, shaking his head. "I hope it's not what I think it is," he thought to himself. In the sisters' room, Riley lay on her bed, happily swinging her pale feet as she studied the floor plans Chloe had sent her, dreaming of the day she would move in with Leo. Sophie stood ramrod straight by the window. She watched the BMW drive toward the complex exit. Then, with a cold expression, she pulled the pink curtain shut. P.S. I feel like the plot after the new year is going to be the absolute climax. Arriving in the glittering hotel lobby, Chloe linked her arm through Leo's. Her usual shyness was gone, replaced by an open affection as she leaned against his arm, taking in the opulent decorations. As far as Chloe was concerned, it was a done deal. Once she graduated, if Leo proposed, she would say yes immediately, and they would get married. Their parents had met and were thrilled with their children's choices. They already had 2 houses waiting for them. It was the perfect storybook romance, from high school sweethearts to husband and wife, the kind of ending countless couples dreamed of. Besides, Chloe had experience now. After countless conversations with her mischievous boyfriend about very adult topics, her former innocence had been worn away completely. It wasn't an exaggeration to say that she sometimes even initiated conversations about things not suitable for younger audiences. Of course, when it came time to check in at the front desk and hand over her ID, a flicker of that old embarrassment returned. She lowered her head and pretended to scroll through messages on her phone, trying to avoid the front desk clerk's all-seeing eyes. It was a natural modesty that most girls possessed. The moment they entered the room, Leo eagerly pulled her into a deep kiss. It was a long while before Chloe finally pressed her hands against his shoulders and gently pushed him away. "You're terrible," she whispered, her breath warm and sweet. "I need a shower first. I'm all cold and sticky. It feels awful." After their long snowball fight that afternoon, her clothes were damp and clammy from the melted snow. "Go ahead." Leo planted one last, heavy kiss on her sweet lips before letting her go, watching as she grabbed a robe and disappeared into the bathroom. Chloe was a neat freak, a serious one. Leo had discovered this during their first intimate encounter. They had been dating for nearly a year and talked for an hour or two almost every day, so they knew each other's habits inside and out. Just as Chloe knew Leo had a thing for legs, Leo knew she was obsessed with cleanliness. Whether at home or in a hotel, Chloe wouldn't even lie down on the bed until she was sparkling clean and smelled fragrant, let alone engage in any other activities with him. Leo had tried many times to stroke her hair like he did with Lily, practically begging her. But Chloe would have none of it, shaking her head so vigorously it looked like a drum. He'd given up on that idea pretty quickly, especially after experiencing her sharp little canine teeth in his office today. Chloe would be in the shower for at least half an hour, so Leo sprawled on the bed with his phone and opened his messaging app to contact the head of the renovation company. The office would be ready right after the new year. Then he could bring his crew over from LA, and his media company would officially be in business. His company had no name recognition, and the short video based on the web novel hadn't generated much traffic. Leo planned to write a solid movie script and spend heavily to hire a few well-known, talented actors. He was aiming for a blockbuster debut that would quickly establish his company in the film market. As for what kind of movie to make, he hadn't decided yet. The genre was crucial. Not every good movie sells out theaters and breaks box office records. You had to read the market, understand audience tastes. Otherwise, no matter how good the quality, it wouldn't achieve the results he wanted. Anyone who knew anything about film knew that some movies trashed by audiences upon release had seen their reputations soar in recent years, with some even being hailed as masterpieces. A movie's box office success was tied to the market, the target audience, and even public holidays. As he was thinking, a message came in from Lily. "Clueless neighbor, you're not coming back tonight? It feels weird sleeping in this big house all by myself." "Pouting. Offline mode. Have to entertain some clients. I'll be back tomorrow morning, and then I'll take you to a movie. Okay?" Rose. Perhaps not wanting to disturb his work, Lily ended the conversation crisply. "Clueless neighbor. Okay, you get back to work then. If you do come back tonight, be sure to call me. I'll keep my phone right by my pillow. Offline mode. Okay. Get some sleep. Love you, Red Heart." "Clueless neighbor. I love you too. Red Heart." After placating Lily, Leo, without a second thought and with a heart of stone, deleted the entire sweet exchange. It was a habit he'd formed after talking with any of the girls. Lily's devotion and unconditional trust moved him deeply, but he was already teetering on the edge of a relationship minefield and didn't dare take any risks. If Chloe ever found a message like this, 10 mouths wouldn't be enough to explain his way out of it. After deleting the chat, he even sent messages to several other friends to push Lily's contact down the list, hoping Chloe wouldn't notice her identical profile picture. The sound of a hairdryer started up in the bathroom. Leo knew Chloe would be out soon. "Damn it, I have to find an excuse to change our matching profile pictures," Leo thought, looking grimly at the 2 identical cat girl asking for a hug avatars in his contact list. It was an extremely dangerous trigger. If he was alone with either Chloe or Lily and the other one messaged him, it would be all over. They would definitely ask, Let me see your phone. Why does this girl have the same profile picture as me? Leo, you'd better explain yourself. Why is her picture the same as mine? Is she a friend of yours? He could probably fool Lily. A simple excuse would likely be enough to placate her. But Chloe was a different story. When she became suspicious, she would definitely go through his phone, then message or video call Lily. And that would be game over. Damn it. Why is this so complicated? Leo sighed in frustration. I knew I shouldn't have become a player. Just then, the hairdryer fell silent. The bathroom door slid open. Amidst a billow of steam, Chloe emerged, wrapped in a pure white robe. She stood before him, her slightly flushed, pale neck and delicate collarbones on display. Her pretty face was rosy, whether from the hot shower or from his unwavering gaze. He couldn't tell. She slipped off the fluffy, disposable slippers and lay down nervously beside him. Feeling his unabashed stare, she was both proud and shy. She deliberately stretched out her long legs and rubbed them with her pale hands. Seeing Leo just lying there, not moving, Chloe huffed in annoyance. Stare, stare, stare. What's there to look at? Go take a shower, seriously. On it. Leo couldn't resist. He leaned over and planted a loud kiss on her smooth cheek, then rushed into the bathroom. He had to admit, being a player was pretty damn sweet. P.S. Caught a small cold. Went to the doctor. We'll try to update more during the day. Sorry about that. The next morning, Leo felt a tickle on his nose. Opening his eyes, he saw a cascade of glossy black hair spilling across his pillow like a waterfall, with strands tickling his face. Under the warm covers, Chloe curled up in a ball, her arms wrapped around his waist like a buckle, facing him in his embrace. Her delicate sleeping face held a content, happy smile, and she murmured sweetly now and then, lost in some dream. Her smooth, silky skin pressed against his, and the slightest shift felt like warm porcelain gliding over him. At just 20, Chloe's flawless skin matched Lily's natural glow, soft and inviting to the touch. Just then, Chloe's phone rang with an incoming call, playing an unfamiliar English song. Who's calling this early? So annoying, Chloe grumbled sleepily, shivering and nuzzling into Leo's chest, her morning grumpiness kicking in. Leo grabbed the phone and saw the caller ID. Internet's top player. A straightforward note. It had to be Chloe's best friend, Maya. He had her as a contact, too, under her username, Maya_behaving. It's your bestie, Leo said, handing her the phone. Chloe took it with one hand, keeping the other on his waist, chatting groggily with Maya. After a quick exchange, she sent the hotel location while half asleep, then snuggled back into Leo's arms. What's up with your friend? Something going on? Leo asked curiously. Nothing. Just coming to hang out. Chloe mumbled lazily, now fully awake. You're on break soon, right? Leo said, cupping her pert bottom. I forgot to ask. What are your plans for the holidays? Heading back to Florida with your folks? Yeah. Chloe pouted unhappily. We go every year. Skipping to see the grandparents would break family rules. Might even get me kicked out of the family tree. That's serious? Leo thought, realizing those online stories about Florida and family traditions weren't exaggerating. Folks there really valued clan and heritage. Leo, why don't you come with me next year? Chloe lifted her head. It's too late this year, but tell your parents early and come meet my grandparents in Florida. Next year. If I'm free, sure, Leo said, neither committing nor refusing. He never made ironclad promises. He couldn't guarantee he'd be available. You know I'm about to get swamped. I might not even make it home for the holidays with my family. Okay, try to make time, Chloe said, disappointed, biting her lip. I'd love to introduce you to them. No problemo, Leo teased in a folksy Florida drawl, gently smoothing her messy hair. Haha, that's awful. Don't try if you can't pull it off. Chloe burst out laughing, firing back in her native accent, making Leo's heart flutter. Not every girl sounded this charming in dialect. It depended on her voice. Deeper tones lacked that cute contrast. But Chloe's sweet, lively timbre made her fluent twang irresistible, like a bubbly pop starlet. Lily had a great voice too, cute, sweet, with a hint of nurturing warmth. But she was shy and never shared her hometown lingo with him. Leo, I really like you, Chloe confessed softly, burying her face in his chest. Chloe was usually sassy and willful, throwing little tantrums. But in private or after moments like this, she turned into a gentle lamb, whispering affections she'd never say otherwise. Most girls crave that post-intimacy comfort and dependence. Chloe was no exception. I like you too, Leo replied. Chloe craned her neck happily, kissing him. How much? 1. More than yesterday, less than tomorrow. 2. Crazy about you. You're my heart, my liver, 3/4 of me. 3. Actions speak louder than words. Kiss her, tease her, Let me think, Leo said seriously. Chloe blinked expectantly, awaiting his sweet talk. Leo blurted out thoughtfully, I think my like for you is more than yesterday, but less than tomorrow. Don't think I don't know. That's from that movie. You copied. Chloe whined playfully, but her heart melted. Girls cared if it came from the heart, not the source. Damn, you Bronze League player knows that line. Leo chuckled, regretting not picking 3. Ding. Chloe's affinity for host rises 5 points, now 75. Keep it up. They tussled a bit, Chloe's smooth legs instinctively wrapping around his calf, tightening playfully. What are you doing? Playing Python? Leo teased fondly, pinching her pale nose. Hee, this is that Python strangle suffocation. Sweating yet, Leo? Chloe giggled from his chest. Born in 04, she knew every viral meme cold. Leo couldn't match her meme game. Silly. Leo laughed, stroking her back. Leo, it's only 7. Maya's coming at 9, Chloe said, her heel grazing him lightly, her clear eyes sparkling expectantly at him up close. The blatant hint stunned Leo. Actions did beat words. Option 3 nailed it sometimes, even if it was wild. Around 9, Maya arrived alone at the hotel, finding the room Leo had rebooked for Chloe, and pushed in. Where's Leo? Maya asked, eyeing her bestie lounging on the bed, scrolling TikTok, scanning the room curiously. He had stuff to do, headed back, Chloe replied with a grin, mid-funny video. Idiot. Maya rolled her eyes at her goofy friend, kicked off her flats, and flopped down to scroll too. Maya, that outfit's on point, Chloe blinked approvingly. Real vibe. In the winter chill, Maya's look was modest but still oozed sexy charm, unlike Chloe's bubbly cute style. Maya radiated maturity beyond her years. She wore a coffee brown long-sleeve coat, black hair cascading over her shoulders with a sleek black bag. The coat hid her ankles, showing smooth calves and black flats. Underneath, a light gray pleated skirt revealed her long, pale legs. You know it, Maya preened. Learn some grown-up style from me. Ditch those little stockings. Even high schoolers skip him now. But Leo likes him, Chloe shrugged. Told you, he's a leg guy. Bought him to show him. Maya fired back with single girl snark. Damn, we're talking outfits, and you're flexing your relationship? Hee, sorry sis. Chloe grinned cheekily. Hey Maya, us girls love guys' abs. What else do guys like besides legs? Chloe asked innocently, gazing at her friend. Half her education came from Leo, the rest from this bestie. Maya pondered, then smirked slyly. They aim a bit higher. Huh, how high? Oh, Chloe went from curious to confused to shocked realization. Mouth, agape. You're so bad. The friends giggled ambiguously, sharing TikToks by the heater. Ugh, Chloe, thought college meant boyfriend city. Maya sighed after a couple videos. But it's all immature kids, profs are balding old guys. I'll graduate single. Your picky standards? Good luck, Chloe griped. Try a matchmaking service for guys a decade older, maybe with kids. Kids or not, as long as he cares and treats me right, Maya confessed earnestly. That's her top priority. She liked older guys who doted. And kids? Fine, I don't want to birth any. Helping raise M's no issue. EW, don't get you. Chloe shuddered, frowning. If you stay single, crash with me and Leo. I'm not big on kids either. You be the godmom helper. Maya paused, then dropped. Hey, not gonna lie, I like Leo's vibe. Huh? Chloe snapped alert, staring at her thoughtful friend. Chill. Rabbit doesn't eat its own grass. Just objectively, your guy's solid. Maya clarified patiently. You said you love how he cares. Knows when you're cold or hot. I dig that too. Decent gamer. Caring, hot, built, and loaded. No work needed. Maya listed, getting lost, then eyed Chloe. Damn, Chloe, your Leo's a catch. Piece of take him then. Chloe joked, trusting Leo, repeating their old pact. Steal my guy. I'll gift you condoms myself. Whoa, too far. Maya flushed, heart racing. She'd never ruin years of friendship over a guy. He started. Chloe teased, shrugging Versailles style. He's not that great. I just like his stamina. Huh. Telling Leo next time. You bitch, take this. The friends wrestled laughing on the bed, the hotel echoing with giggles, the scene steamy hot. After minutes, they panted, staring at the fancy ceiling, AC humming. So postgrad, marrying Leo? Maya turned, eyeing Chloe's flushed face. Yeah, I like him, Chloe admitted Sundra style, then sassy. But he proposes first. Or no deal. I'll bridesmaid and roast his speech. Been dying to test his wit. Yeah. Chloe nodded eagerly, nuzzling the pillow Leo used, missing him already. What was Leo up to? Meanwhile, at Lincoln Cinema in Portland, Leo held Lily's soft hand, eyeing the movie posters, turning fondly. Babe, what genre? I'll grab tickets. P.S. Damn, born like this. What? You're not coming home for New Year's Eve? The next morning, Leo sat shirtless on the bed, talking to Sharon. Yeah, got things to handle. You guys drive ahead. I'll catch up once done. Last year, they visited the maternal grandparents. This year, paternal. Leo's family was local to Portland. Both sets lived hours away by car. But when you arrive, Sharon sighed. Compromising. Work stuff was beyond her. Day 4. Should make it. Leo pushed back a day for buffer. Fine, drive safe. Bad weather lately. Sharon nagged a bit more, before hanging reluctantly. Leo turned. Lily was awake, lying quietly watching him, her sleepy eyes full of expectation and reliance. Her flushed shoulders and pale collarbone showed. Under the covers, she was bare. Leo had moved in with Lily, wasting a gorgeous girl in that villa by sleeping separate? Criminal. Side-lying accentuated her proud assets, visually striking. Leo, propped on elbows, arching the thick quilt over his strong back, scooting close teasingly. Eavesdropping on my mom call? No, not at all. Lily pouted, averting shyly, but boldly grabbing his hand under covers, for inexplicable comfort. This wifey cute shy vibe? Irresistible to any guy. We leave this afternoon. Leo mwah at her lightly, hugging her plump form. Stuff packed. Lily blushed, nodding, all set. Cool, nothing pressing, scroll TikTok, lunch, then go. Plane tickets to Idaho booked, drive to airport later. Leo slipped one arm under her waist, gently cupping her tall pert bottom. The other swiped her phone open. Even after last night, this intimacy embarrassed Lily. But she loved the security obediently nestling in his arm, pillowing on his reassuring bend. Lily's latest iPhone had no passcode or fingerprint, just swipe. In this shady world, someone might mistake it for junk. Her wallpaper looked familiar. Then it hit. His e-scooter with the rubber ducky decal. Since getting a car, he'd parked it at the landlady's complex. The ducky went to Maddie. Must be a pic from her time there, snapping the bike shed. Come to think, they'd never taken a proper couple photo. Lily probably wanted one for wallpaper, but was too shy to ask. An introvert who hemmed on matching avatars. Nude pics now? Nah. Leo planned a scenic shot at her folks' place. Opening her TikTok, first videos. Idaho culture, scenery, medical facts. Boring. Nothing like his colorful feed. He followed his girlfriend's accounts. Lily too. Chloe shared funny clips. If offline, she'd spam emojis to reconnect. The landlady rarely shared but chatted when online. Eleanor? More like sending edgy author vids. Want this? Got links. Lily shared faves with him. Knowing he viewed made her day. Truth? He fast-forwarded or skipped to end, sometimes faking reviews from thumbnails to make her giggle. Heartless? Maybe, but virtual, emotions delivered, that's key. Players burned out without trade-offs. Then a vid. Nurse girlfriend stabs, cheating boyfriend 46 times. Story. Nurse GF finds BF cheating, stabs him 46x. Hospital check. Minor injuries. Every stab, missed vitals. Leo's mouth twitched. The girl in his arms studied medicine. Damn, if his mess slipped, same fate. But Lily's gentle. Probably not that extreme. Babe, if I cheated, would you do like this nurse? Leo probed sideways. Lily shook her head. You're the best. Leo exhaled, kissing her smooth forehead, scrolling on. Lily mumbled shyly. I'd shake holding a knife, not calm like her. Leo. After lunch, Lily packed in a room. Leo warmed the car from his private garage at the door. Minutes later, Lily emerged from the villa, dragging 2 heavy suitcases. Fearing he'd wait, she hurried, her impressive figure bouncing dramatically. What's all this? Leo asked curiously. Gifts for Aunt and Grandma, plus road snacks, Lily replied honestly. Does Grandma's place take deliveries? Lily nodded. Yeah, town's out a pickup spot. Perfect, mail am. Lugging this on planes and buses? Pain. Just bring snacks for the road, Leo griped. Flights 2 hours, then transfers. Too much hassle. The holidays, couriers off, no pickups, Lily puzzled. No worries, leave it door. I'll get someone now. Leo phoned property staff. Money solved everything. Lily fretted. What if stolen? Trust me, not your worry. Leo chuckled, grabbing the snack case, clasping her hand to the BMW. Kidding, Willow Creek security was Portland's tightest. Cameras everywhere, not some lax spot with old guards. Steal here? Suicide. Residents were loaded. Who'd stoop? Driving out Willow Creek on a busy mains. Holidays neared. Winter winds carried festive vibes. Usually bustling streets emptied. Shops posted closed signs. Traffic swelled, mostly out-of-state plates. folks heading home triumphant. Under 20 minutes, jammed mid-road, another accident ahead. Damn, stuck again, Leo yawned casually, cheekily reaching to squeeze Lily's soft pride. People around. Lily startled, blushing, grabbing his hand, eyeing nearby cars. Chill, one-way tint, Leo shrugged. Ken Zayn. Just, legs okay. Lily pleaded cutely, flushed, eyes begging. Adorably dumb. Leo smiled, easing off the pure girl, cranking AC down, cracking window. Jerk. Lily pouted, then unpacked biscuits carefully, avoiding crumbs. Window down, Leo noticed the adjacent Mercedes also lowering theirs. His smile froze, spotting the driver. His dad, David. Hey kid, where you headed? Can you make day 4? David started, cigarette in mouth. Leo, biscuit. Lily leaned over, feeding him one. David hadn't noticed Lily at first. Now, her lean-in feeding made her visible. Even from afar. Gorgeous girl. David's first thought. Second, his honest son's cheating. David managed projects, read people like books, not unlike Don Miller. This intimacy? Not friends or colleagues. Leo quickly scanned David's car, fearing Sharon or sisters aboard. They'd ignite drama. Luckily, solo, probably errands. Leo? What's up? Lily asked, puzzled at his freeze. Nothing. Leo bit half the big onion biscuit, tense, eyeing David sidelong. Lily blinked, unbothered, nibbling his leftover like a hamster. Sigh. David doubted, but the couple vibe confirmed. Son's cheating. David felt mixed, helpless at infidelity, guilty toward Chloe, oddly proud deep down. This girl matched Chloe in looks and build. From biscuit detail, she genuinely liked his son, not gold digging. Traffic cleared, cars inched forward. Come early, David muttered airily, ditching his lit cig, rolling up window neutrally, following ahead. Leo, know that guy? Lily licked crumbed fingers, blinking curiously. Leo hid emotions, shaking head casually. Nah, stranger. In the airport garage, Lily hit the bathroom. David texted during Leo's wait. Lone Wolf explained. Offline mode. Dad, she's just a friend, believe? Lone Wolf. I believe, or not doesn't matter. You do? Offline mode. Typing paused long. Minutes later, Lone Wolf, sending her home. For holidays? Offline mode. How'd you know? Saw snacks by her legs. If local fun, no need so many. Route's airport shortcut. I drive it daily. Leo admired. David sharp as ever, piecing it from a glance. Home. David was quiet doer. Sharon handled trivia, leaving big stuff to him. Lone Wolf, making day 4? We'll talk then. Offline mode. Can I not? Sweating emoji. Lone Wolf. Miss it. I'll discuss with your mom. You decide. Offline mode. I'll make it. Miss grandparents anyway. Lone Wolf. Brat getting defiant. 2 timing now. Fine, chat later. Safe travels. Damn, what are the odds? Leo sighed, pocketing phone. Layout unfinished, busted by dad? But David's discreet. Won't tell Sharon. Explain how. Confess. Besides Lily, 3 more in Portland. 1 her schoolmate. Build them homes. Pondering. Painful cut cross-mind. But Lily skipped out bathroom, beaming, running to him, idea vanished. What's wrong? Lily asked timidly, checking her collar. 1. Honey, lots of gaps between us. I think we should break up peacefully after drop-off. 2. Babe, truth. I don't like you much, prefer small-chested girls. Split. 3. Babe, breaking up but no scalpel stabbing. Pretty girls off limits to stare. Leo shrugged off, hugging her beaming form, fatalistic toward check-in. This far? Dump no one. System helps. Worst case, whatever. Planes cheaper than trains now. Lily flew solo to Portland start of year. New routines. Aboard. Seats found, luggage stowed, chatting. Nearing home, excited Lily. She talked more. Plane taxied. Lily tensed. No security. Heights scared her. First solo flight to Portland? Pale-faced flight attendants checked repeatedly. Runway speed up. Cabin shook, buzzing loud. Nose up. Weightless drop. Lily gripped armrests rigid, blank-minded, forgetting Leo. 4 insecure, acrophobic girls, flying tortured. Don't fear. Leo gripped her hand firmly, like her first car ride. I'm here. His broad palm eased her, eyes filled with piteous reliance. Realization. Not alone anymore. Someone to lean on. Security bloomed. Ding. Lily's affinity rises 10, now 80. Keep going. Leo, you're a good guy. Shy Lily boldly interlocked fingers, gazing contentedly, addicted. TSK. You know how often you've nagged since we met? Leo frowned playfully. New compliment? I'm hot, praise that. Flight lands. Want to grab lamb first? You wanted to try. Hell yeah, here, gotta check it off. Dodging. After 2 bumpy hours, around 3 p.m., Plane landed at Boise Airport. Leo wheeled luggage, arm around Lily's waist, to exit, hailing cab straight to her home. 2 hours ago in Portland. Now home turf with her adored guy. Lily felt unprecedented joy, scooting plump hips across seat, hugging his arm tight, rubbing lovingly, lifting blooming face, gazing devotedly, never want to part Reliance plane. After endless bus rides over snowy, rutted mountain roads, they stopped on a forested path. City-raised Leo first-timed such remoteness. Dense woods surrounded, punctuated by shrill birds. Without the winding asphalt, he'd think abroad. Leo, we're here. Lily pointed excitedly at a modest cabin down a long slope. Leo followed. A simple adobe house, walls weathered and spotted, red tiles gleaming warmly in winter sun, telling time's tale. Common rural sight, plain outside, but for farm girls like Lily, memory-packed havens. Lily linked arms, hurrying down. Gate open. Stool held a plump yellow tabby, old and frail. Spotting long-gone owner, it weakly hopped down, meowing hoarsely to Lily's feet. Dim main room empty. Right side kitchen clanged with spatula on wok. Inside, tiny figure in thick coat, on wobbly stool, wielding arm-long spatula, stirring veggies skillfully. Rural homes use gas now, not wood. Lily's too. Grace, Lily called, eyes reddening. The girl turned, sooty cute face stunned, then beaming. Sis. Thrilled, she shut gas, dropped spatula, ran hugging Lily's legs. Kids' moods flip fast, running joyful, hugging turned to aggrieved sobs, tears streaming. Lily comforted long. Grace sniffled, stopping cries, blinking teary eyes shyly at Leo. Grace, call him. Lily blushed, adjusting. Big bro Leo. Hi big bro Leo. Grace chirped cutely, shyly hiding in Lily. Leo aced kids, especially sisters. Squatting by Lily, he pulled leftover Tootsie Rolls from pocket. Grace, want candy? Lily's sis was introverted, pure like her. No toys or cash needed. Sweets open doors, especially for girls. Grace eyed the candies, then Lily's nodding smile, timidly taking one, pocketing. Thanks big bro Leo. You're welcome, Leo grinned, stuffing rest in her coat, ruffling her head. 7-year-old Grace was skinny, hair dull with yellow strands and black. Like sis in looks, big eyes, smooth oval face, taller than peers. She peeked at Leo cutely, much like Lily. Spotting his gaze, she whipped away, burying shyly in Lily. After texting Grandma, trio waited in living room. Soon Grandma arrived with middle-aged couple. Lily's aunt and uncle, with high school daughter in nearby self-built home. Lily, when you get back? Aunt asked in thick Idaho twang, eyes flicking tensely to Leo. Grandma mentioned Leo back home. Rich guy cleared medical bills, moved granddaughter to big villa. City baller. Just now. Lily greeted happily, then stammered. He's Leo Shepherd, my boyfriend. Hey aunt, uncle. Leo greeted warmly, offering uncle a cig. Uncle smiled, accepting, mouth opening then closing, unsure. Pure farmers, they weren't used to rich folks. Uncle. Lily said you and aunt run the orchard? Big operation, good money yearly? Leo chatted casually, offering his stool. No need Leo, you sit. Uncle demurred but yielded, explaining. We sell to contractors. Not much profit. Oh, tried online? Live selling's hot now. Lily fetched new stools from bedroom. Leo first, then uncle and grandma. She wiped Grace's kitchen stool, sitting quietly by boyfriend. Grace climbed sis's plump lap, peeking shy curiously at him. After 10-minute chat, couple loved Lily's guy. Leo's friendly vibe eased their nerves. Initially worried pure, pretty Lily met shady city guy. Hearing rich, feared sugar daddy. But young, polite, complimentary to her, maybe real match. Frosty window panes bloomed intricate ice flowers, like art. Beautiful, enchanting. In cold season, even humble cabins were warmest shelters. Chat deepened bonds. Uncle lit stove fire, all gathered, sharing Lily and Leo's Portland tales. Lily held day's sis, snugged by Leo, heart-warmed, hugging family and beloved by cozy fire, swapping stories and daily gripes. Lily felt endless warmth in this peaceful family vibe. Grace eyed sis's gaze on big bro. Sis probably wanted to marry him? Chat rapped. Leo pulled uncle outside alone, leaving others peering curiously. Uncle came with Lily to check her home setup. Leo offered a bank card. God, I showed couples selfless care. Cleared Lily's college fund from Apple sales, tended grandma, and sis often. Rare kin nowadays. Leo trusted card to uncle. Uncle glimpsed, realized, shook head. Can't Leo, just met. Folks laugh. Uncle misunderstand. I'm Portland-based. Not always near Grandma with Lily, Leo countered. Money's for bettering her life. Buy a couple houses close. She needs help, you're there. Your daughter's college-bound too. You helped Lily, as her boyfriend, repaying that. But, too much, Uncle hedged. Not really, once Lily and I. Together, Leo smiled evasively. Family, right? No formalities. Oh, Uncle, add me on iMessage, ditch contractors low pay. While hesitant, Leo pocketed card and coat, arm around him. Get popular streamer for live sales. Clear your orchard fast. Ah, sure. Uncle yielded under Leo's charm offensive, torn yet thrilled. He sensed Lily's guy not just rich, connected too. Lively dinner done. Leo and Lily walked couple home, returned to humble cabin for rest. 2 small rooms. One stored grains since Lily away. Bed remained, red quilts and blankets. Pillows embroidered with roosters. From door, bridal chamber vibe. Grace usually bunked with Grandma. Tonight, with Leo here, no sis snuggles. Past 10 p.m., outside silence save distant barks and howling wind. Rural norm. Leo knew from Grandpa's stays, no issue. Under red quilt on creaky bed, staring dim ceiling pensively. Lily chatted dialect with Grandma in left room. Leo, clueless. Grandma's earnest tone? Likely life advice, like marriage. Damn, I'm a failed player. Leo sighed guiltily at his mess, hearing Grandma's words. Footsteps neared. Leo flipped. Sleep. Avading Liliesse expectant purigase. Lily thought asleep, softly shut with door, killed dim light, tiptoed to bed, gently undressed, lifted quilt, slipped in. Different girls meant different bed contacts. Leo could write a book. Chloe? Ignored if asleep, back hugs, tantrums, or burrow till coaxed. Loved Isabel's maturity, doted freely, comforting. Eleanor? Chat to prank. Leo resisted sharing bed. Pure like Lily? Prioritized his rest. Even craving closeness, ultra gentle to not wake. Soon, her hands lightly on waist, smooth legs on calves. No doubt Lily in undies. Next, familiar massive softness pressed his back unreservedly. Now Leo really couldn't sleep. In pitch black, Leo rolled facing her, sensing breaths, shamelessly teasing. Up late to cop feels while I sleep? You're awake. Lily's vision poor, worse dark, but his chuckle painted his smirk. She ducked shyly. Yet no pull away. Instead, she nestled closer, sighing contentedly soft. Leo stroked her smooth back in pale curves, doting, how old? Still need hugs like a kid? Hug me, Lily sassed once, willful pout. In love, girls mirror guys, prim or aloof, turned childish with crushes. Especially post-intimacy or emotional peaks, craving care obvious. Guys providing then? Locked in devotion, bond unbreakable. Lily craved care deeply. Wished Leo spoiled her like Maddie Daly. Sure. Leo obliged, hugging her tall, plush shy form to chest. Lily's build topped his girlfriend's. Perfect. Men's ideal woman. Teen like MILF like teen. Innate wifey Lily nailed it. MILF tenderness and nurture, teen dependence, and youthful bloom. Encounter her? Guys joked breaking ribs for her soup. But Leo eased grip. Her Twin Peaks wrist smother. Hugging dry boring. Leo chatted, what did Grandma say? Lily paused shyly, honest. She said postgrad, marry you. Oh, Leo gulped audibly, hands freezing on her skin. Exploration halted. Your thoughts? Lily asked expectantly, gathering courage. Leo sensed her gaze, hopeful stare. 1. Babe, truth. Lied. You're not only. 3 more in Portland. 1 year alum. 2. Girls always tie me down in career rise. 3. Babe, curious surgery practice? Steady with knife now? Maybe not soon. Leo tweaked 2, explaining patiently. Career peaking, you know. Postgrad, still busy. Might wait years. Obvious lie. Any girl call player, no marriage intent. Leo's ways hidden. Plus home visit to Grandma. Lily trusted fully, shrugging. Fine, I'll wait. Long as you don't tire of me. Heartfelt words tugged Leo. He withdrew hands, ashamed. Gentle women's terror. Melt even iron hearts to guilt. For a flash, Leo considered ditching others, lifelong with his pure girl. True, gentle women enchanted thus, evoking happy ever after visions. But flash only. What if I start liking someone else while you're waiting? Hardened Leo tested the waters. Director gig, pretty actresses everywhere. Words dropped. Cozy quilt turned tense. Dark Leo felt her glare. Fierce, vicious, unlike bird-like sweet. Long silence, glare faded. Lily nuzzled his chest reluctantly. I don't know. To Lily, Leo, soul heart entrant. Her only anchor. Lost or stolen? She'd unleash unknowns. No more questions like that. Okay? Lily griped. No split talk, even jokes. Haha, won't happen. Leo consoled, hugging her tall frame. You're gorgeous, killer body. Why stray? Actually, Leo thought. Bro, what was that? Felt like next 46 stab, light injury victims me. Next morning, Leo woke to outside clamor. Lily gone, bed cold. She'd risen early for chores. Dressed to main room. Aunt, uncle, grandma chatting dialect by stove. Morning, grandma. Aunt Leo greeted, sig to uncle, stool by fire joining. Leo chow. Lily beamed, bringing steaming egg noodles, 2 whole eggs, thick slabs of beef jerky, Langeau level. Fresh, careful, hot. Lily sat by, soft warning. Grace on Sis's lap, peeking shy at Leo, eyeing beef and eggs hungrily. Rare eggs for her, beef luxury. Here, Grace, Leo noticed clipping thick jerky. I ate breakfast. Grace waved tiny, whispering refusal. Grace, Sis says beef hot. Test for me. Leo rephrased, blowing cool to her mouth. Kids direct offer? Politely declined, but crave. Stranger feeds? Fake disinterest from adult lessons. Grace swallowed, licked thin lips, averted, faking no interest, sneaking grandma, and Sis glances. Sis smiled indifferent. Grandma nodded encouraging. Grace nibbled, shaking head. Not hot, big bro Leo. Oh, this one. Leo fed another. Not hot, big bro Leo. Till all beef and eggs gone. Grace burp content. Full, big bro Leo. Ha ha. Adults laughed. Warm joy filled tiny cabin. Aunt, uncle, grandma loved Lily's polite, rich, capable guy. Leo slurped plain noodles, at gate noticing uphill fireworks, drums. What's up there? Idaho tradition. Grandma kindly, good days lately, several guys marrying today. Ah, Leo coughed awkwardly. He saw Lily eyeing wedding processions, eyes yearning. As she turned, he looked away, avoiding marriage resonance with this saintly gentle girl. Trap here, marry for real? What about others? Breakfast done, Leo borrowed uncle's old pickup, 2-hour mountain drive with sisters to nearby town. Idaho trip? Must try lamb head. Check off. Old meme poured on, viral on TikTok. Tourists nod heads for clout. Park to busy lamb shop. Full out-of-towners. Mangled poured on echoes. Order head. Plus sides per owner's rec. Half hour. Head arrived. Literal whole. No stink. Spice heavy. Looks scary. Teeth rose. Full tongue. Leo unfazed like big rabbit head. Gloved nod. Tasty. Tender. Juicy. Nogami. Numbing. Spicy salty. Pity. Pre-brined. No self-sauce and chant. Sisters local. No fear of girl-repelling dish. Lily split head. Feeding best tongue to Sis. Grace chowed happy. Sauce mouth. Lily wiped patiently. Meal done. Leo paid. All trip Lily held Grace. Now encouraged. Timidly grabbed Leo's thumb. Kid simple. New true kindness. She wanted close to this good big bro. Leo hoisted her, pinching soft cheeks. Grace lamb good. Yeah good. Grace tucked chin and used the intimacy, tensing, pleading eyes to Sis. Lily smilat, struking siste, no bui. Big bro Leo back. More lamb okay? Leo bounced her light body, cooing. Okay, Grace chirped. Soon. She clung, short arms neck hugging, blinking cute big eyes shy curiously at grinning big bro. Is shy cute? Grown like tall Sis beside? No difference, maybe more stunning. Post-lamb, Leo shopped mall with sisters for clothes, essentials. This village town, shabby shops, but mall luxury packed. Kid stores several pricey outfits, hundreds min. Minutes in, to full kids shop for Grace's holiday wear. Lily resisted, not hating Sis, but hated spending Leo's cash. Villa life, groceries, fun clothes, her old earnings. Leo's money saved for emergencies. Like Sis, Grace tensed entering, gripping Leo's thumb hard. Since aware, new home tough. Unlike noisy kids demanding sparkly clothes. She lingered at shops, but never begged. Poor raising wrong. Ingrains home poor, parents hard. All for you. Breeds inferiority, people-pleasing, social fear, unworthiness. Common, avoid upscale spots, crowds, even try-ons. Haircuts? Cheap old guy shops, not fancy. Then, clerk brought Chinese-style dress, long down coat, top sellers. Grace glanced, mouth opening then shutting, fleeing to Lily, hugging plump legs, upturned cute face, seeking opinion. Cute moves amused clerk, adorable kid. Leo sighed softly. Poor raised result. Unworthiness, spotlight avoid, elder approval everything, no initiative. Grace like, Leo smiled, guiding expression. Tell clerk Sis boldly, big bro Leo pays. Lily stroked head, shaking. Grace, no big bro Leo's money. Too pricey, over 2 grand. TSK. Lily's words drew Leo's light tongue click. She startled. Looking up, his eyes scolded impatiently. Leo rarely stank-faced Lily, last during breakup talk. Unsure wrong, she clammed, standing aside fidgety, stroking Grace's hair. Seeing sis troubled, Grace pouted, eyeing clothes unwillingly, big eyes disappointed yearning. Don't like. Sigh fine, she's young, time to fix. Leo inner side, waving clerk. Wrap both, matching shoes too. Bought more browsing. 6 p.m., snowing, tough roads. Leo hoteled triple room, sisters in. Grace thrilled all day. New clothes, shoes, untried snacks. Post Lily bath, video chatted grandma endlessly, slept quick. Hotel, left Leo, Lily silent, atmosphere heavy. Lily knees hands, breathing uneasy, piquing Leo's mood. Feared lingering anger, though clueless why. Don't pour theory educate your sis anymore. Leo tucked Grace warmer, stern. Don't want her grown like you. Shy talker, head down studier, zero social smarts. Didn't blame Lily, flawed personality, no mom experience for sis guidance. Lily set, Leo by side, no change needed. Grace young, Leo could shape better. Or grown same dummy, eaten alive by world. Sometimes life sucked but had to roll. Who'd choose backwoods drudgery forever? I got it. Lily bowed heavy low sorry. Don't overthink, just don't want Grace like that. Leo sat by, arm around shoulder soft. You got me. Grace grows, she dummy like now, bad guys'll scam her bad. Got it. Lily nodded lightly, pouting aggrieved, leaning dependently. All right. No moping. Leo kissed her lips lightly, expectant. Come shower. Save water for hotel. Hotel needs saving. Lily blushed, cheeks puffing pale. Is half refusal shy? Cute. Lily, think globally, no water scarce countries? Leo BS'd seriously. Our safe feeds families there. Lily unmoved, bed sitting, likely minding sleeping sis. Come on, she's out cold. Played hard. Leo sense yes, pulling soft hand, half dragging to bath. Jerk, always bullying. Lily rose red-faced, glancing back thrice, following to bathroom. Before shutting, checked sleeping sis. Sure asleep, she flushed, heart pounding, slid door shut. Leo had originally planned to drop Lily off, then catch a flight out the next day. But the gentle pull of the woman was just too strong. Even a man as resolute as Leo found himself wavering, unable to tear himself away from the tender world she offered. And so, he ended up staying with the sisters right up until the day before New Year's Eve. It was only then, after much gentle persuasion, that he finally brought up his plan to return to Portland. That night, around 11:40 p.m., Leo and Lily returned from a fireworks stand, their arms loaded with every explosive novelty they could find. Just as they were setting up, his phone buzzed with messages from both Isabel and Eleanor, arriving at the exact same moment. Lily, could you start setting these up? I'm about to take care of something. I'll light them in a bit. Leo handed the fireworks to Lily, not even needing a real excuse as he stepped away from the sisters with his phone. Lily took the colorful boxes without a second thought and nodded, continuing to arrange them in the open space. Leo had not only followed her halfway across the country to her hometown, but he'd also spent the last several days helping with every little chore around the house. After all the effort and trust he'd shown, it would never have occurred to the innocent young woman to think anything was amiss. He opened his messages. Eleanor Hayes. Leo, the holidays are so boring. My parents are out of the country. Can I come see you? Isabel Vance. Are you still at Lily's? The snow must be pretty heavy out there. Stay warm. Don't catch a cold. The two messages were a perfect study in the difference between a young woman and a mature one. A mature woman would always be the understanding, caring figure in a man's life. No matter how much Isabel missed Leo, she would bury that longing deep down, even using the bad weather as a clever, two-pronged approach, showing concern for his well-being while simultaneously probing whether he had any plans to return to Portland. As for Eleanor, Leo had to admit he'd been neglecting her. He hadn't even stopped by the music studio she'd opened, offering only a few compliments over text. Thinking back, a pang of guilt hit him. He really owed the rich girl who loved to mess with him. Almost his entire career had been built on her support. He'd even gotten the media company building thanks to her. Yet, he turned down her repeated requests to hang out, using the excuse that he was taking Lily home. The truth was, he genuinely didn't have the time. The holiday schedule was packed solid, with no room to squeeze in a visit with Eleanor. Unless he brought her to his grandparents' place for a few days. Hey, that could actually work, he thought, a light bulb going off in his head. Hardly anyone in the countryside would recognize her, and she wasn't the type to start a disaster zone in front of his parents. She just wanted to hang out with him. If he brought her along as a friend from work, there really wouldn't be a problem. When he went home, his father, David, would definitely ask about Lily's identity. As long as Leo played dumb and used Eleanor to muddy the waters, he could create the perfect illusion of confusion. Offline mode. Want to come back to my hometown with me for a few days? I could show you what country life is like. Eleanor Hayes, yes. Yes. When are you coming back? Where is it? Offline mode. Take it easy, darling. I'll drive back to pick you up the day after tomorrow. Rose emoji. Eleanor Hayes. Leo, that's the first time you've ever called me darling. I'm so happy. Reading that, Leo felt another wave of guilt. They had basically confirmed their relationship on that cruise, yet he had never once treated her like a proper boyfriend. He found it strange himself. Why didn't he? Eleanor was the most beautiful girl he knew, not to mention the richest in Portland. She had looks and money. A girl like that shouldn't be getting the cold shoulder from a player like him. Eleanor Hayes. Leo, is anyone around? It's been so long since I heard you curse at me. Can we do a voice call? Well, there's my answer, Leo thought, the corner of his mouth twitching. After a moment, he decided to grant her request. Offline mode. You little masochistic slut. I'll be back the day after tomorrow to train you properly. Be a good girl and go to sleep. Rose emoji. Ding. Eleanor Hayes' affinity has increased by 5 points. Current affinity, 63. Please continue your efforts. Eleanor Hayes. I'm too excited to sleep now. Offline mode. Leo shook his head, a wry smile on his face, and switched to his chat with Isabel. Offline mode, yep. I'll be there tomorrow around 11 a.m. Rose emoji. Isabel Vance. Drive safe. Maddie and I are waiting for you. We're staying up to ring in the new year. Smiling emoji image. The picture Isabel sent was of her and Maddie sitting on the couch together, both beaming with joy. The little girl was dressed in a festive red outfit, holding a red banner that read, Happy New Year, looking as adorable as a little mascot. After a brief chat with Isabel, Leo checked the time. 1 minute to midnight. He quickly pocketed his phone and walked back toward the sisters. Here. Lily handed him his lighter, her smile full of anticipation. Happy New Year. Yeah, Happy New Year, Leo replied, then turned to the little girl. Grace, cover your ears. Big brother's about to light the fireworks. Okay. The little girl obediently covered her ears and scurried a safe distance away. As the clock struck midnight, Leo touched the lighter to the fuses of box after box of fireworks. Colorful fireballs shot into the sky, exploding like blooming flowers that painted the night with brilliant, dreamlike light. Other households lit their own fireworks at the same time, transforming the dark sky into a dazzling canvas. The sound of explosions echoed from all directions, a grand symphony that immersed everyone in joy and celebration. The little girl had never been this close to fireworks before. Her wide eyes were filled with awe and wonder. Leo pulled out a red envelope he'd prepared and handed it to Grace. Happy New Year, Grace. Happy New Year, she said, nodding nervously before reflexively looking to her sister. Lily gave a gentle nod, and only then did the little girl carefully accept the thick envelope. Good girl, Leo said, patting her head. At the same time, his phone began buzzing incessantly with notifications. While the sisters were captivated by the fireworks, Leo pulled it out and took a look. Isabel Vance. Happy New Year, Leo. Wishing you wealth and success in the coming year. Chloe Miller. Leo the loser. Happy New Year. How do I look? Special New Year's edition. Want me to wear it for you again when you get back? Image. Eleanor Hayes. Happy New Year, Leo. My dad told me that if you bow to me, I have to give you a cash gift. Interested? Maya Pierce. Happy New Year, Leo. Wishing you a bright future and all the success in the world. Riley Shepard. Bro, Happy New Year. Where's my money? Sophie Shepard. Happy New Year. Brothers in arms, deserters in trouble. God damn it, it's New Year's. Everyone send some cash. The next morning, heavy snow began to fall again. The world outside the window was silent, save for the howling of the wind. Leo woke up early, washed up, and after a quick breakfast, grabbed his surprisingly light suitcase, ready to take his gray-tanned husband's old pickup to Boise Airport. Lily, holding her sister's small hand, followed beside him, her face etched with reluctance as they crunched through the fresh snow. The old pickup was parked on a small road up the slope, but Lily walked with him as if she never wanted to turn back. Just as he was about to get in the truck, she suddenly gripped his hand, the raw feeling of not wanting to part written all over her beautiful face. Come on, give me a hug, Leo said with a grin, opening his arms. Lily threw herself at him, wrapping her arms tightly around his waist. The force, so different from her usual gentle nature, startled him. It was a reminder that no matter how beautiful and sweet she was still a country girl at heart, with a strength that had been part of her since childhood. You have to come get me, Lily sobbed, her warm tears quickly soaking the collar of his jacket. I will. When your winter break is almost over, I'll come for you, Leo promised, brushing the snowflakes from her shoulders and hair. Okay, you should go back now. It's freezing out here with all this snow. Don't let Grace catch a cold. At the mention of her sister, Lily snapped out of her sorrowful daze. With teary eyes, she let go of Leo and turned to Grace. Children are easily influenced by emotions. The little girl didn't know what was happening between her sister and Leo. Sister, don't cry. Seeing her sister's unending tears, Grace's own lip began to tremble, and she started crying too, her eyes turning a heart-wrenching red. I'm not crying, Lily said quickly, wiping her eyes. She knelt beside the little girl, brushed the snow off her coat, and forced a smile. I'm okay, Grace. Don't cry. Grace, Big Brother is leaving now. You listen to your sister and Grandma, okay? Leo knelt in front of the little girl to comfort her. Next time I come back, I'll take you somewhere fun. How about that? Okay. Grace whimpered in response. Leo stood up and whispered to Lily, after I leave, have a good talk with her. Putting his own selfish motives aside, Leo genuinely wanted to bring Grace to Portland and give her a better education. Children from the countryside, especially those left behind with grandparents, were often reluctant to leave their familiar surroundings for a big, strange city. He had mentioned it to Lily the night before, telling her and her grandmother to talk to Grace over the next few weeks so the little girl wouldn't refuse to go with them when he returned. Okay, I will, Lily replied obediently, her eyes still shimmering with tears as she gazed at him, unwilling to let him go. With a soft sound, Leo pressed his lips firmly against hers. The little girl immediately covered her eyes with her hands, peeking through the narrow gaps between her fingers as she watched her sister and Big Brother do something naughty. When they parted, Lily was breathless, her delicate, pale face flushed a deep crimson. It was the first time Leo had been so bold in front of her sister, and she was mortified. All right now, I finally got the little one to stop crying. Don't tell me I have to console the big one too. Leo teased with a smile, giving her toned rear a light pat. Hurry and get Grace back inside where it's warm. You finally got to come home, so spend more time with your sister and Grandma. I'll be back to pick you up before the break ends. He tossed his suitcase into the back of the pickup and climbed into the passenger seat. As the truck started, Lily finally snapped out of her flustered state. She watched the accelerating truck with a look of longing, her eyes once again filling with tears. She instinctively took her sister's hand and started walking faster, wiping her eyes as she followed behind them. Leo, the gray-tan's husband, said, his voice complicated as he watched the two sisters in the rearview mirror. Damn, why is she so stubborn? Leo muttered. If this kept up, he was definitely going to miss his flight. He pulled out his phone and sent Lily a text. Offline mode. Take Grace home right now. If you keep following me, I'm going to get angry. Through the rearview mirror, Leo saw Lily look at her phone. Sure enough, she stopped chasing the truck. But she stood there in the middle of the road, holding her sister's hand, motionless, her eyes fixed in their direction. Leo didn't know how long the silly girl stood there before finally disappearing from view. All he knew was that even when the truck was halfway up another mountain, he could still see her tall silhouette standing at the edge of the asphalt road. Carrying an empty suitcase, Leo went from the dusty pickup to the sterile plane, and finally, at 11 a.m. on New Year's Day, he arrived back where it all began. The Evergreen Terrace Apartments, Building 3, Unit 1702. To be honest, back then, Leo was only after Isabel for her body. He never would have imagined that he would come to care so much for her and her daughter. In the beginning, he'd wondered if what he was doing was the most pathetic thing a man could do, taking on another man's baggage. But as time went on, he'd started to see things differently. What was taking on baggage, really? It was accepting someone another person didn't want or had abandoned. Or maybe it was getting with a woman who already had a little angel on the way. That was being a sucker. From the moment he met Isabel, they had been honest with each other. She was a widow with a child, and she never once hid that from him. The choice was always his, and she even felt guilty about their relationship afterward. Aside from her past, she had never concealed anything from him. She'd even encouraged him to find other women to marry and settle down with. How could a good woman like that be compared to the kind of woman who plays around until she's had her fun and then finds some honest guy to marry? Rather than taking on baggage, Leo felt what he and Isabel had was a unique kind of pure love. Daddy's home. The moment Leo rang the doorbell, he heard the little girl's joyful cry from inside. A moment later, the door clicked open, and the festively dressed little girl launched herself into his arms. "Hey now, did Maddie miss me?" Leo asked, bending down to hug her, nuzzling her smooth cheek. "Yes," the little girl chirped happily. "Come in, Leo. It's cold outside," Isabel said, a clear smile of delight on her face at the sight of the boy she hadn't seen in what felt like ages. "I wish you wealth. I wish you splendor. Let the best things come to you. Tell the bad to stay away. It never hurts to be polite inside the food mart." A ridiculously catchy holiday pop song from a superstar singer looped endlessly, the sound echoing off the high ceilings. Every year around the holidays, this same festive old song was on repeat in every major store. Though it was over a decade old, in an era where people were hypercritical of melodies and lyrics, it didn't feel dated or awkward at all. Instead, it was pure holiday spirit, perfectly setting the mood. The supermarket was draped with red lanterns and colorful ribbons, creating a thick festive atmosphere. Leo hummed along to the infectious tune, holding Maddie's little hand in one of his and wrapping his other arm around Isabel's slim waist as they navigated the crowded aisles to buy groceries for the new year. The mother-daughter duo turned heads wherever they went. Even the swamped cashiers couldn't help but steal glances at them. They were truly dressed to the nines. Maddie wore a custom red dress with a traditional flair, looking like a blooming red flower in the cold winter. On her head was a fluffy hat adorned with 2 sparkling stars that twinkled as she moved, adding a playful touch. A happy smile graced her face, her big, round eyes shining like bright gems. In her hand, she held a candied apple, its glossy, translucent coating covering the bright red fruit, making mouths water. Her outfit was both festive and a perfect expression of her innocent nature. As she walked through the bustling store, she was undoubtedly the most beautiful sight. Many of the older people shopping with their own children looked at the lively little girl and felt years younger, wishing they could just take her home to be their own granddaughter. Isabel's attire was just as eye-catching. She wore a red, fleece-lined, cheap house-style dress that perfectly showcased her enchanting, slender figure. Like a traditional cheap how, the dress had daring slits up both sides, revealing glimpses of her smooth, pale calves. With her mature, slightly alluring smile, the dress amplified her aura of a gentle and virtuous wife. Isabel clung affectionately to Leo's arm, while Leo held Maddie's hand. The three of them looked for all the world like a real family doing their holiday shopping. After nearly an hour, Leo's shopping cart was piled high with brightly packaged fruits and vegetables, as well as Maddie's favorite snacks. Normally, Isabel was extremely strict about the little girl's snack intake, but on such a festive day, she let the rules slide. Whatever Maddie wanted, she got, which had the little girl practically skipping down the aisles. "Daddy, when we get home, I want to eat these rainbow candies and this Rice Krispie treat," Maddie declared as they waited in the checkout line, pointing at the snacks in the cart with an expectant smile. Leo patted her head and nodded gently. "Of course. Daddy will open them for you as soon as we get back." "Daddy, Mommy said you were in Idaho for a few days. Did you try the lamb head? The one where they go, 'Pour it on.'" "Oh, so Maddie knows about the pour it on meme?" "I do. When I was missing you, I searched for Idaho on TikTok, and a bunch of videos popped up. The lamb head was a little scary, though." "Haha, it's not scary. I'll take you to try it sometime." "Okay." Isabel, holding onto Leo's arm, listened to the father and daughter chat without interrupting, a look of deep contentment on her face. This was the kind of simple, warm daily life she cherished most. She had always been a woman who craved the warmth of a family. "Daddy, what's pour it on?" "It's about eating lamb head. Don't you remember your grandpa gave you some last year?" Their conversation caught the attention of father and daughter in line next to them, who were also out shopping as a family of 3. Isabel glanced over at them. Before she met Leo, when Isabel came to the supermarket alone, she would grab what she needed, pay, and leave as quickly as possible. She hated lingering. Whenever she saw parents laughing with their children while shopping, she would be filled with envy. For a single mother, that simple, everyday scene was the most unattainable dream. Isabel had lost count of how many times she had fantasized about shopping with a man she loved and Maddie, laughing and talking together in a supermarket. Now, that dream had finally come true, and she was overcome with joy. A grocery run that should have taken 15 minutes had turned into an hour-long stroll through the store. Thinking of her lonely past, Isabel reflexively tightened her grip on Leo's arm. In that moment, the mature, sophisticated woman was like a young girl again, unable to hide her deep sense of attachment and dependence on him. Leo felt a soft pressure on his arm and thought something might be wrong. He turned to her and asked gently, "What's the matter?" "Nothing. I just feel so happy," Isabel murmured, her voice low. The blissful, satisfied smile on her face said it all. Leo's mind worked quickly. A single glance at the family next to them told him exactly what she was thinking. "The night will be even happier," he whispered, earning a light slap and a blush from Isabel. "Stop being fresh. It's our turn. Go pay." Leo smiled in anticipation and pushed the cart toward the cashier. As the cashier was scanning the last of their items, Isabel suddenly cleared her throat. Leo looked back at her, puzzled. She shyly avoided his gaze. He blinked, and she shot him 2 more meaningful glances. Following her eyes, he finally understood. "Hello, sir. Your total is $134. Do you have a rewards card?" "I do," Leo said with a knowing smile, reciting his phone number. He then reached over and picked up 2 boxes of condoms from the display by the register, handing them to the young cashier. "Daddy, what's that? Is it candy?" the little girl asked, standing on her tiptoes to peer over the counter at the 2 boxes of adult products. The cashier was clearly a new employee. The little girl's innocent question made her face turn bright red. The other customers in line chuckled. "Maddie, let's go wait for Daddy by the exit," Isabel said, covering her face in embarrassment. She quickly scooped up the little girl and, her own face flushed, hurried toward the store's entrance in her heels. After they had left, Leo muttered under his breath, "Well, technically she's not wrong." After buying their holiday groceries, the 3 of them drove home. When they arrived back at Isabel's apartment, Ms. Lee had just shown up with her daughter. They were also a single-parent family. The father had passed away years ago. Ms. Lee and Isabel were good friends and usually spent holidays together. This year was no different. But this year, an energetic young man had unexpectedly crashed the 2 single mothers' holiday gathering, and his presence brought a reassuring sense of stability. Even Ms. Lee, who had once dismissed Leo as a boy toy for a rich woman, found herself looking at him with new eyes throughout the day. Around 4 in the afternoon, the 2 capable women were in the kitchen, laughing and chatting as they prepared dinner. Out by the front door, Leo was putting up new decorations while 2 adorable little girls circled around him. Maddie had a lively and cheerful personality, and her smile was incredibly infectious. Ms. Lee's daughter, Clara, was just like her name, quiet and well-behaved. Even her smile had a touch of gentle reserve. She wore a pair of clean, clear glasses, a common sight among children these days, who often needed thick lenses at a young age. In the large living room, a holiday special was replaying on the LCD TV, the volume turned up loud enough for the host's voices to be heard from the hallway. Even if the holiday programming got worse every year, families would still leave it on, forbidding the kids from turning it off. It just made things feel more festive. Around 7 in the evening, the 2 women, both masters of the kitchen, finally took off their stained aprons. Women seem to have a natural talent for cooking, especially single mothers raising children. In just a few hours, the large dining table was laden with a feast of colorful, aromatic, and delicious dishes. They all took their seats. Isabel had even opened an expensive bottle of red wine, pouring a glass for Leo and Ms. Lee. The 2 little girls had to make do with sweet fruit juice. Though it wasn't officially New Year's Eve dinner, as the only man in the house, Leo felt he should say something to liven up the atmosphere. In the past, he had hated these boisterous gatherings. When his parents made him toast his elders, he would be so embarrassed he could die, just mumbling a quick, Happy New Year before retreating. But now, he felt no stage fright at all. Instead, he felt a strange sense of control, a result of all the experience the system had given him. "Ahem, I'd like to propose a toast," Leo said, sitting between the 2 women. He raised his wine glass, his voice clear and strong. "In the new year, I wish for Maddie and Clara to become even more adorable. And I wish for Isabel and Linda to be a little more beautiful tomorrow than they are today." The 2 little girls beamed, accepting the blessing with cute smiles. The 2 mature, capable women exchanged a glance and smiled shyly, their hearts fluttering. Women never tired of hearing sweet words from a man, especially one they liked. "All right, cheers, cheers," they all echoed. The 5 of them cheerfully clinked their glasses and then began to eat and chat, enjoying the delicious meal. "Big brother Leo, hee daddy." After dinner, the 2 little girls giggled and swarmed around Leo, each hugging one of his legs and looking up with cute, expectant faces, asking for their holiday gifts. Leo had, of course, prepared them, but he feigned ignorance, blinking curiously. "What's up? You want to go play outside?" Clara, who knew the customs, spoke up in a clear voice. "I wish Big Brother Leo a new year full of health, success, peace, and prosperity." "Ah, Clara is such a good girl." Leo smiled, satisfied, and handed her a large red envelope. Maddie grew anxious. The little girl was already short on words, and Clara had just used up all the blessings she had managed to memorize. When Leo's expectant gaze fell on her, she hesitated for a long time before finally looking up with a cute, conflicted expression and blurting out all the nice words she could think of. I wish Daddy gets to reap without sowing, enjoy the fruits of others' labor, and get rewarded for doing nothing. Ha ha ha. The two women on the couch burst out laughing at Maddie's blessings. Isabel laughed, so hard that tears streamed down her face. Leo, however, didn't mind at all. He wasn't some old man who needed wishes for a long life or endless success. Those blessings always felt a little fake. Maddie's unconventional wishes, on the other hand, felt more interesting and genuine. Seeing her mom and Ms. Lee laughing so hard, the little girl's rosy cheeks fell. She pouted and, throwing caution to the wind, shouted another one. I wish Big Brother Leo a harem of wives, a life of nightly pleasure, and lots of beautiful women. Oh why, oh my. Thank you, Maddie, thank you, Leo said, pleasantly surprised. He ruffled her hair and quickly stuffed a large envelope into her hands, hoping to catch some of the luck from her innocent words. Ha 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 ha. Ms. Lee, who didn't know the full story, laughed even louder. Clara was a little confused. She felt like Big Brother Leo preferred Maddie's unprofessional blessings. Was what her mom had taught her this morning wrong? Isabel, however, shot Leo a playful, resentful glare. Given his current situation, he was probably hoping Maddie's wishes would come true. After the girls got their money, the group chatted on the couch for another hour. They had plans to set off fireworks in the suburbs the next day, so Ms. Lee took Clara to a nearby hotel for the night. The little girl had stayed up late the previous night and had been running around all day. Not long after Ms. Lee and Clara left, she went to her room and fell fast asleep. Were you secretly happy about what Maddie said earlier? Isabel asked, lying next to Leo after her shower. She was wearing a red nightgown, her cheeks slightly puffed out as she looked at him. Not at all. Why would you think that? Leo denied, but an irrepressible smile spread across his face. Liar. You say that, but you're grinning from ear to ear. Isabel pouted, but she wasn't truly upset. Their relationship was strong enough not to be shaken by something like this. Leo, days like this, they're so wonderful, Isabel murmured, resting her chin on his chest as she lay quietly in his arms, her flower-like smile full of contentment and longing. It's about to get even better, Leo said, raising a hand to pat her full backside. Quick, turn off the lights. Isabel gave him a cute eye roll before padding over to the door in her fuzzy slippers and flicking the switch. The bedroom was instantly plunged into darkness. The next afternoon, Leo bought some fireworks and drove the two mother-daughter pairs to a small river on the edge of town. There was a citywide ban on fireworks during the holidays. The leftover trash was bad for the city's image, and they posed a fire hazard to buildings. But as long as you weren't making a big show of it, setting off a few in a more remote area was generally overlooked. You two, slow down. As soon as he parked by the river, the two little girls eagerly grabbed their sparklers and jumped out of the car. Ms. Lee quickly followed with a lighter. After helping them light a few sparklers, Leo noticed a green, tree-lined path along the river and pulled Isabel along for a walk. Ms. Lee was left in charge of the girls' safety. Here, Isabel, Leo said as they walked. He casually plucked a small wildflower from the side of the path and tucked it behind her slightly flushed ear, admiring his work. If you were from my old village, you'd definitely be the village beauty. You and your sweet talk, Isabel replied, an elegant curve to her lips as she looked at him like he was a little boy. She didn't remove the flower. Instead, she subconsciously pushed it a little deeper behind her ear to keep it from falling out. They continued to chat idly, wandering aimlessly down the path. The riverbank was deserted during the holiday period, and the sound of their footsteps crunching on the soft snow was clearly audible. Occasionally, they came across the remnants of fireworks, likely left behind by some inconsiderate people the night before. Isabel held onto Leo's arm, listening to his rambling stories, her heart filled with a sweet warmth. A blissful smile, captivating to behold, spread across her face. Maybe this is what love feels like, she thought, the feeling she had always yearned for with a sense of hopeful anxiety. Isabel had never really dated. Her only marriage had been arranged by her parents. She and the man had only known each other for a few days before their parents pushed them to get married and have Maddie. Thinking of that painful marriage, she looked up at the young man beside her. After a moment of silence, she asked tentatively, Leo, do you want to hear my story? Finally, Leo thought. The secret of Isabel Vance. He had always been curious about what she did for a living. After all, to be a guest on Eleanor's cruise and own so many properties, her background had to be extraordinary. Sure, he said nonchalantly. We're just chatting, anyway. Isabel grew serious, contemplating for a moment before recounting her past. Leo listened intently. Her first and only marriage had been 6 or 7 years ago. There wasn't anything particularly special about it. Her husband was the son of her parents' friends, and their families had arranged the marriage when they were children. The man's family was of average means. After his parents passed away, he left to start a business, but not only did his friends run off with all his investment money, but his only house was seized by the court. Heartbroken, the man returned to Portland, found Isabel's parents, and brought up the old engagement, hoping to marry Isabel and live as a son-in-law who marries into the wife's family. Isabel's family had been in business for 3 generations, and her parents owned countless properties in Portland. She was a true white, rich, beautiful heiress. At the time, Isabel's thinking was more traditional. She also felt the man was of good character and handsome, so she agreed to the marriage. Less than a year into the marriage, she discovered he was not only a gambling addict, but had also been keeping a mistress before they even got married. His reason for marrying her was undoubtedly for her body and her money. At first, Isabel didn't take it too seriously. She just schemed how to catch him in the act and then kick him out with nothing. But the man was ruthless. He conspired with his mistress and several elite lawyers to try and swindle her out of the properties in her name. Isabel couldn't tolerate it anymore and told her parents everything. Her father nearly had a stroke from the rage. He ordered his men to lure the man and his mistress out to the high seas and made Isabel personally dispose of the treacherous pair by sinking them into the ocean. Just when she thought it was all over, Isabel discovered she was pregnant with the child of the man she had personally sent to a watery grave. Initially, she didn't want the child, but thinking of it as a life, she gave birth to her and gave her the family surname. That child was the little girl now playing by the river, jumping around with a lit sparkler, Maddie Vance. I'm sorry, Leo. I never meant to hide this from you forever, Isabel murmured, her emotions complex. I was afraid that if I told you, you'd overthink it and leave us. Yeah, you definitely shouldn't have told me, Leo said with a look of distaste. I write fiction for a living, and even I think this is too cliché. You might as well have pulled out some ancestral jade pendant and told me I have the makings of an emperor. This story is even more melodramatic than those. The general returns with his 100,000 soldiers to find his wife is now the top courtesan tropes. Huh. Isabel tilted her head, both confused and worried. She didn't understand what he was talking about. It's fine, Leo said, wrapping an arm around her waist and comforting her nonchalantly. I know you're afraid I'd feel like I was just taking on someone else's baggage, but this is completely different. Worst case, we'll just have one of our own next year. But he'll have my last name. Okay. What? No, are you serious? Isabel asked, her face flushing red. She had always thought he was just joking or trying to comfort her. Of course, Leo said matter-of-factly. You didn't think I was just letting you be my sugar mama forever, did you? You should have said something sooner. All those times before. What? Isabel, don't tell me you got an IUD. You can't do that. Ugh. Isabel, both embarrassed and annoyed, slapped his arm a little harder than she meant to. I'm only 36. What are you talking about? Haha. My mistake, Leo said, dodging with a grin. He then raised his eyebrows expectantly. So, are we having one or not? Maddie could use a sibling. Have one. You think it's like laying an egg? That it's so easy? Besides, you need to sort out your own mess first. The last thing I need is for that group of girls to come after you. And then I have to clean up the pieces. Isabel gave him a cute eye roll, adjusted the wildflower that had nearly fallen from her ear during their playful scuffle, and started humming a cheerful tune as she walked ahead down the path, her steps elegant and relieved. The next morning, Leo was woken up by his phone ringing. He groggily grabbed it from the nightstand and saw that it was his mom, Sharon. It was already the 4th day after New Year's. If he didn't go see his grandparents soon, she was liable to show up at his apartment with a weapon, holiday or not. He didn't dare answer the call. Sighing, he put the phone down and opened his messaging app to reply to her, attaching a screenshot of a massive traffic jam. He kept a whole folder of such photos on his phone for emergencies like this. Whenever his time management failed, he could use one of them to blame being late on traffic. As long as the photo wasn't too outrageous, the method was foolproof. Offline mode. On my way, be there soon. Stuck in traffic. Screenshot. Mama Bear. We're eating at noon. If you're not here by then, I'm bringing your sister to your apartment building to find you. Kitchen knife emoji. Offline mode. Yes, ma'am. Who is it? Isabel murmured, woken by the commotion as she rubbed her eyes. Ahem, my dad, Leo replied distractedly, scanning the area around the bed. He located his boxers tangled inside Isabel's white dress. You're leaving? Isabel asked, a hint of sadness in her voice. Ikevto is, if I don't report for duty, you'll never see me again, Leo explained without exaggeration, then slapped his forehead in frustration. Oh man, I still have to go pick up Eleanor. He had promised a rich girl back when he was at Lily's that he would take her to his hometown for a visit. It would take at least an hour to get to Willow Creek Estates now, and possibly longer with traffic. Fortunately, it was only 8 in the morning. If he moved quickly, he could still make it. After hastily replying to the texts, Leo started throwing on his clothes in a flurry. He looked so comical and disheveled that Isabel didn't even have time to feel jealous, just shaking her head with a wry smile. You silly boy, aren't you tired, running around like this all the time? Tired? Leo, his hands moving quickly to fasten his belt, shot a disdainful look at the still stunning woman. Isabel, we've been together this long. Well, have you ever heard me say I was tired? That's true, Isabel conceded, her eyes holding a trace of undeniable admiration. Leo's stamina was just like what her friends described in Certain Men, like a donkey, constantly wired as if he'd been mainlining caffeine, with a seemingly endless supply of energy. Oh, my little troublemaker. How long will it be until we see each other again? Isabel teased, her mock-pitying expression carrying a surprisingly heart-wrenching charm. Don't worry, Isabel. After the holidays, once I bring Lily to Portland, we can see each other every day, Leo said expectantly. From now on, the 5 of us will live a good life together. That's all that matters. Well, I'll look forward to it, I guess, Isabel murmured, lost in thought. Then, a wave of guilt washed over her as she added, but I can't help but feel sorry for that girl, Lily. You have to treat her well in the future. Don't you dare bully her, you hear me? Yes, of course. From now on, I'll only bully you. Leo, now fully dressed and with his phone, wallet, and keys in hand, swiftly leaned in to kiss Isabel's lips and, out of habit, gave her firm bottom a pat. I'm off, Isabel. You brat. You really treat my place like a hotel, Isabel grumbled with a smile as she heard the front door close. But she was already looking forward to the days after the holidays, when she would be living with that innocent young woman. Unfortunately, she had no idea that when Leo said a family of 5, he wasn't counting Maddie or Lily's sister. By the time Leo drove back to Willow Creek Estates to pick up Eleanor, he found her standing under a sycamore tree by the main gate. She was drawing in the snow with the toe of her black flat-soled shoe, a bright, innocent smile on her face. Eleanor was wearing a white down jacket over a fleece-lined white sweater, with a white beanie on her head and a white scarf around her neck. From a distance, she looked like a walking marshmallow. Her hands were crossed and tucked into the sleeves of her jacket for warmth, while her feet were busy scribbling in the snow. Her stunning face was mostly hidden by the jacket and scarf, revealing only a pair of clear eyes and a slightly reddened, pert nose. Occasionally, a small puff of mist would escape from her rosy lips. With any larger movement, Eleanor's breathtaking face would appear for a fleeting moment, like a magic trick, before she shivered and quickly burrowed back into her scarf. She had always been sensitive to the cold. The monochromatic outfit wasn't exactly high fashion, but it was definitely warm. At a glance, Eleanor looked like any other teenage girl, her current behavior even bordering on childish. But who would have thought that this seemingly naive girl was the daughter of Portland's wealthiest man? Ever since the incident at the hospital where she'd cut her wrists, Eleanor had become a completely different person, filled with hope and optimism, always smiling. She had transformed from a sickly, aloof ice queen into a vibrant, sunny young woman. The only drawback was that this vibrant young woman was also a complete degenerate who would sometimes spout the most astonishingly crude profanities. When she saw Leo's car pull up, her smile grew even wider, and she came running toward him, crunching through the soft snow. Hey, baby, what are you doing over there? Leo asked with a smile as she got in the car, thoughtfully brushing the snow off her hat. I was writing, Eleanor replied cheerfully. Then, as if it were the most natural thing in the world, she took Leo's right hand and placed it firmly on her thigh, a look of pure, blissful contentment on her face. Oh, what were you writing? Leo was already used to her peculiar habits. He was more curious about what could have made her smile so foolishly. Hee, I'm not telling you, she giggled, her smile as bright as a flower. Something's fishy. As Leo turned the car around, he realized he was right where she had been standing. He rolled down the window and glanced at the snow. After squinting for a moment, the corners of his mouth couldn't help but twitch. There, where Eleanor had been, scrawled in the snow in dark letters, was a vulgar phrase. Leo Shepard is a giant dumbass. You and your foul mouth. You're a young lady. Can't you learn to be a little more refined? Leo sighed, feeling the familiar frustration of a father dealing with a delinquent daughter. He knew she was just teasing, maybe even flirting in her own way. In her mind, dumbass probably just meant silly. She almost certainly didn't understand the vast difference in meaning between the two. For close friends like him and Zach, who had practically shared a bed, calling each other a dumbass was normal. But if Eleanor used that term with someone she'd just met, anyone with a short temper might be ready to throw hands. Eleanor looked surprised. Huh? Is that really that bad? I thought it just meant silly. Forget it. It's fine. Be as vulgar as you want, Leo said, shaking his head with a smile. He decided not to correct her speech. It wasn't like she had any real-life friends anyway. Besides, even if she did curse someone out, who would dare to talk back? We're going to my grandparents' house today. My parents and my two sisters will be there, Leo said, keeping one hand on the steering wheel and using the other to gesture between them. Given our relationship, you know what to say and what not to say, right? I know. Before getting in the car, Eleanor had been bubbling with excitement. But Leo's words, drawing a clear line between them, made her inexplicably sad. Her mood visibly soured. She pouted, turned her head to stare out the window, and gave him the silent treatment, presenting him with a stunningly beautiful side profile filled with silent grievance and one delicate, pink ear. The atmosphere in the car instantly became oppressive, the sound of the heater fan suddenly loud in the silence. Leo tapped his fingers on the steering wheel. Wow, she's getting emotionally mature fast. Now she can even get jealous, he thought. Thinking of all the help she had given him, while he constantly used her as a pawn, his conscience was hit with a barrage of guilt. He had played her, and not only had she forgiven him, but she had helped him immensely. Yet he had never treated her like a girlfriend, not even offering her basic emotional support. It was a bit. 1. None of my other girlfriends have ever been to my family home, baby. You're the first. 2. If you weren't such a pervert, I would actually really like you. 3. Slap her across the face and tell her to turn around. Who is she putting on this sad act for? None of my other girlfriends have ever been to my family home, Leo said, his voice softening. Come to think of it, you're the first one I've ever brought to my grandparents' place. Ding. Eleanor Hayes' affinity has increased by 5 points. Current affinity, 68. Please continue your efforts. Eleanor didn't turn around, but she let out a small humph and snuggled her pale neck deeper in her down jacket, putting on a show of ignoring him. But Leo noticed her long, delicate ear twitch slightly. It was oddly cute. She had heard him, and with the affinity increase, she was probably secretly delighted. Eleanor, Leo said, using her name intimately for the first time. For someone with a longer name, using just the first name could make any conversation feel more personal. Between a couple, it could amplify the affectionate atmosphere, packing more of a punch than baby or darling. What is it? Eleanor turned her head stiffly, trying to suppress him with a stunningly beautiful side profile filled with silent grievance and one delicate, pink ear. The atmosphere in the car instantly became oppressive, the sound of the heater fan suddenly loud in the silence. Leo tapped his fingers on the steering wheel. Wow, she's getting emotionally mature fast. Now she can even get jealous, he thought. Thinking of all the help she had given him, while he constantly used her as a pawn, his conscience was hit with a barrage of guilt. He had played her, and not only had she forgiven him, but she had helped him immensely. Yet he had never treated her like a girlfriend, not even offering her basic emotional support. It was a bit. 1. None of my other girlfriends have ever been to my family home, baby. You're the first. 2. If you weren't such a pervert, I would actually really like you. 3. Slap her across the face and tell her to turn around. Who is she putting on this sad act for? None of my other girlfriends have ever been to my family home, Leo said, his voice softening. Come to think of it, you're the first one I've ever brought to my grandparents' place. Ding. Eleanor Hayes' affinity has increased by 5 points. Current affinity, 68. Please continue your efforts. Eleanor didn't turn around, but she let out a small humph and snuggled her pale neck deeper in her down jacket, putting on a show of ignoring him. But Leo noticed her long, delicate ear twitch slightly. It was oddly cute. She had heard him, and with the affinity increase, she was probably secretly delighted. Eleanor, Leo said, using her name intimately for the first time. For someone with a longer name, using just the first name could make any conversation feel more personal. Between a couple, it could amplify the affectionate atmosphere, packing more of a punch than baby or darling. What is it? Eleanor turned her head stiffly, trying to suppress her inner joy. She looked at Leo with feigned calmness, but her trembling eyelashes betrayed her. Want to stay at my grandparents for a few extra days? Leo asked, gently taking her smooth, delicate hand and lacing their fingers together. He smiled. Before we head back, I'll show you around my hometown. There are a lot of historic districts and all sorts of weird little shops. You'd love it. Okay, whatever you say, Eleanor replied. She wasn't used to him being so close, and her voice involuntarily softened, almost as if she were overwhelmed. You know, I didn't really look properly before, but you look really beautiful today, Leo said, starting to lay on the emotional validation. How am I beautiful? I'm bundled up like a penguin. It was a classic, corny line, but Eleanor fell for it completely. She beamed, happily shuffling her legs, her heart soaring. Not at all, Leo said, squeezing her hand and praising her with sincerity. My girlfriend looks good in anything. He delivered the line with a touch of pride. Given Eleanor's status, she had surely heard every compliment in the book her entire life. She was probably sick of them. So, Leo didn't bother with flowery language. It was unnecessary, and she might not even get it. Eleanor's personality was a mix of Chloe's and Lily's. She now had Chloe's sunny disposition and Lily's innocence. As long as he praised things a girl cared about, like her figure or her outfit, from the perspective of a boyfriend, the simple-hearted Eleanor would be happy for a long, long time. He really? Eleanor asked, her eyes sparkling. This was a perfect example of her straightforward and honest nature, one of the things Leo liked most about her. She didn't play mind games with him. Her emotions were written all over her face. It was this quality that had made him chat with her for so long on that social app in the first place. Leo lifted her smooth hand and kissed the back of it. Yes, really. Heh, you're my king, Mabdush. Eleanor giggled foolishly, all her previous unhappiness gone without a trace. She's too easy to please, Leo thought. If all my other girlfriends were this easy, I wouldn't have to worry about a damn disaster zone. Leo, I like you so much, Eleanor said, gently cradling his right hand, her breathing growing heavy with anticipation. It's been so long since you cursed at me. Could you say a few things? Or maybe slap me? Don't worry, there's a red light ahead. It won't affect your driving. I'll let you touch my leg. Seeing her obsessed, infatuated expression, Leo's mouth twitched in annoyance. Next time the system gives me an option, he thought, I'm definitely picking number 3. Leo's grandparents were born and raised in Portland. During one of the most turbulent times in American history, they had traveled all over the country to make a living. After decades of wandering, the old couple finally returned to their roots, settling back in Portland and buying a small tea plantation near their ancestral home. The old house was ancient and structurally unsound, a real safety hazard during storms. A few years ago, Leo's father, David, and his aunt, Sylvia, had pooled their money to have it completely renovated, transforming the dilapidated little cottage into a grand, antique-style courtyard estate. Several cars were parked at the entrance, relatives and friends who had come to visit for the holidays. The courtyard itself was even livelier, with sunflower seed and peanut shells scattered everywhere. No one was allowed to clean them up. Guests were meant to walk on them, creating a crisp crunching sound that symbolized a wish for peace and prosperity year after year. In previous years, when relatives of similar financial standing came to visit, they would mostly gather, share a reunion dinner, and exchange pleasantries. David was also in a family group chat where relatives of all ages kept up with each other's lives. But this year was different. Ever since Leo's short-form series had blown up on TikTok, both Sharon and David had been bombarded with messages in the group chat. Everyone wanted to know how much money Leo had made. Even a few of the more snobbish relatives, who usually kept their distance, went out of their way to praise Leo, their change in attitude palpable. But his parents never brag about Leo's achievements. Instead, they downplayed his work, artfully painting his burgeoning career as a precarious venture, a stroke of luck that had earned him a little money but was destined to crash and burn in a few years. The reasoning was simple. They were afraid that if relatives saw the profits, they would get greedy. Leo, unable to refuse his family, might end up lending them money or hiring their unqualified relatives to work at his new media company. Both David and Sharon were veterans of the working world, having navigated its complexities for over a decade. They knew the importance of not flaunting one's wealth, especially around relatives. A polite word here, and there was fine, but when it came to money, you couldn't trust anyone but your immediate family and your spouse. Of course, instead of boasting about Leo's earning power, Sharon found it much more satisfying to brag about his girlfriend, Chloe. Over the past 4 days, during late-night chats with relatives, she had praised Chloe to the heavens. To put it in terms the older generation would understand, she was so beautiful she looked like she had stepped right out of a painting. Whenever his father, David, heard his wife gushing about Chloe, he would sigh quietly to himself. He had seen with his own eyes that his son was cheating on her. Not only had the boy not come home to see his parents for the holidays and not bothered to visit Chloe's family in Florida with her, but he had instead been chauffeuring another girl back to her hometown. It was essentially the same as catching him in the act. The only difference, and the only saving grace, was that the person who caught him was David, not Chloe. If Chloe had been the one to see another girl feeding her boyfriend a cookie, the consequences would have been unimaginable. Sharon certainly wouldn't have had the chance to be bragging about her son's bubbly little girlfriend. Of course, as long as David pretended he hadn't seen anything, it wouldn't cause any immediate problems. But he couldn't understand what Leo was thinking. Was he planning to leave Chloe for the other girl? Or was he just playing around? David hoped it was the latter. After all, their parents had already met, and Chloe's parents were even planning to buy a house for them. It was clear they were heading for marriage right after graduation. If Leo broke up with her at this critical juncture, imagine how disappointed the cheerful girl and her parents would be. Then again, his son had a damn good eye for women. Both girls were stunning, especially the one in the car. Just from seeing her finish the other half of the cookie Leo had been eating, David could sense her deep affection for his son. She seemed like the gentle, family-oriented type. In today's materialistic society, especially in a fast-paced city like Portland, a girl like that was rarer than a panda. What on earth is wrong with you? Sharon asked, holding a handful of sunflower seeds. She saw her husband's long, gloomy face again and whispered sternly, "You've been like this for 4 days." Some of the gossips are already starting to talk. "It's nothing," David said, forcing a yawn. "It's just cold. Makes me sleepy." They had been sharing a pillow for so many years. There was no way Sharon would buy that. She probed, "Is there a problem with the funding for that project at the start of the year?" David had taken over a large construction site, and a significant payment had been delayed. He had been swamped with it for days. David waved his hand. "No, that's fine. The money will come through once the review is done." "That's good." Sharon eyed him suspiciously, trying to read his expression. David changed the subject. "It's almost lunchtime. Have you asked that kid why he's not back yet? My dad hasn't seen him in 4 days. He's going to give me hell about it soon. He told me he was stuck in traffic ages ago." "I don't dare rush him," Sharon muttered impatiently. She was about to take out her phone to call when the deep rumble of a car engine sounded from the courtyard entrance. An aunt called out excitedly, "Sharon, your son Leo is here." At her words, all the relatives chatting in the courtyard turned to look at the entrance. Even a few of the older family members in the kitchen peeked out, curious to see the man who had been the talk of the family group chat recently. "All right, our son is back. We can talk about whatever's on your mind when we get home," Sharon said. She knew her husband was hiding something, but since he hadn't said anything, it was probably something he could handle. She didn't press the issue. That was how they had always been. She patted his shoulder reassuringly, then turned toward the entrance, her expression shifting to one of stern interrogation as she went to greet her foolish son. David managed a bitter smile. "I'm afraid if I told you about that kid," he thought, "there might be bloodshed this holiday." The aunt's voice rang out again. "Oh, Sharon, and he's brought a beautiful girl with him." "David?" Question mark. That one sentence sent a shiver down David's spine. Chloe was from Florida. She had driven back with her parents before the holidays. There was no way she could be here. David's immediate fear was that Leo had brought the girl from the car and was about to announce to all their friends and family that this was his real girlfriend. Before marriage, if Leo liked other girls, all they could do was lecture him on his morals. They had no other recourse. But Sharon had been bragging about Chloe for days, practically tattooing the words daughter-in-law on her forehead. If Leo brought back some girl they didn't know, how were they supposed to explain it to everyone? Even if he was going to jump ship, couldn't he at least give his parents a heads up? But reality was often crueler than imagination. When David's horrified gaze fell upon the entrance, his world went blank. He almost couldn't breathe. This girl wasn't Chloe, nor was she the girl from the car. She was someone he had never seen before, and she was even more beautiful. Damn it, what the hell is that boy up to? David, who was usually mild-mannered at home, couldn't stop himself from swearing. He squinted, trying to make sure his eyes weren't deceiving him. It was definitely not the girl from the car. This was a completely new version, and more importantly, this one was even more stunning. Her aura, in particular, exuded a sense of wealth and class. Every gesture suggested a privileged background. The way she looked around at her surroundings with such innocent curiosity, she was like a princess on a secret tour of the common world. "Dad, who is that?" His 2 daughters, Riley and Sophie, had been warming up inside the main house. When they heard Leo had arrived, they came out to greet him, only to stop dead in their tracks at the sight of the breathtakingly beautiful girl standing next to him. It was a known fact among women that there was such a thing as a beauty hierarchy. As the undisputed visual centerpiece of Leo's harem, Eleanor's gorgeous face could instantly outshine everyone present, including the very attractive Shepherd sisters. They were so intimidated that they didn't even dare approach Leo to tease him. Instead, standing frozen with their father, the three of them staring with their own private suspicions at Leo and the beaming Eleanor. I was about to ask the same thing, David muttered to himself. Then, an image from a business news article flashed in his mind. He felt like he had seen this girl somewhere before. It wasn't just David who had this sense of déjà vu. Other men in the crowd were also looking at Eleanor with thoughtful expressions. They all followed several business news accounts, especially those focused on Portland. They would scroll through them in their spare time, picking out important topics to discuss with colleagues over coffee. Wow, Leo, you've gotten so handsome. Is it okay not wearing glasses? Leo, it's me, your auntie. I used to hold you when you were a baby. Leo, what took you so long? After lunch, let's play some poker. We're just waiting for you. The moment Leo walked in with Eleanor, relatives and friends swarmed them with questions and greetings. In the past, Leo had hated this scene. He would offer a few hurried replies and then flee, always feeling like they were just making fun of him. But things were different now. Not only could he handle the situation with smooth-talking ease, but he also realized how childish his old way of thinking had been. These people were just saying hello. There was no malice, just some light teasing. And he had imagined them as a pack of malevolent hypocrites. It was a testament to how much a person's confidence could change once their mindset matured. As Leo got closer, David turned to Sharon, a curious and nervous smile on his face. This girl is our son's business partner's daughter. What's her name again? Elon. Oh, right, Eleanor. Goodness, young lady, your name is a mouthful, Sharon said, laughing with relief. Eleanor's parents are abroad on business, and she was bored spending the holiday alone in the country. So Leo invited her over. Isn't that right, Eleanor? Sharon smiled warmly at Eleanor. As long as she wasn't a girlfriend, Sharon welcomed any of her son's female friends with open arms, especially one so beautiful and well-behaved, and the daughter of his business partner at that. How could she not be welcoming? To be honest, her initial thought had been the same as David's, that Leo had brought Eleanor home to make some kind of announcement. But Leo's explanation that they were just friends had put her at ease. You could just call me Eleanor, ma'am. Eleanor, Eleanor said with a sweet smile, patiently helping Sharon with the pronunciation. Her polite and radiant smile even took the two sisters by surprise. This girl was truly gorgeous, like someone out of a painting. Only David felt that things weren't so simple. He had seen his son cheat with his own eyes. Not only was Leo not afraid of being exposed, but he had deliberately brought back such a beautiful girl. There had to be a scheme. Oh, yes, of course, Eleanor, Sharon replied, beaming, just as warm and friendly as she had been when Leo first brought Chloe home. Bro, it's the new year. Did you send a holiday text to Chloe? Sophie, who had been studying Eleanor for a while, suddenly asked with a sweet smile. It was a kill shot. She's your girlfriend now. You two are getting married after graduation. You can't forget her on such an important day. Her words had a double meaning, intended for a specific listener. Besides David, no one else thought anything of it, taking it as a sister's kind reminder to her brother. But Leo was as sharp as a tack now. He immediately understood that she was deliberately trying to confirm something or stir up trouble. If Lily had been standing next to him, Sophie's words would have instantly triggered the disaster zone he so feared. Sure enough, as soon as Sophie finished speaking, she turned her gaze to the elegant Eleanor, as if trying to catch a change in her expression. Leo, they're getting married? Eleanor's breathing quickened, and her polite, clear eyes took on a slightly crazed look. She instinctively reached for Leo's hand. To Sophie's astonishment, Eleanor didn't show any shock or disbelief. In fact, she seemed a little excited. What was going on? Eleanor, didn't you say you've never been to the countryside? Leo quickly shot her a subtle, panicked look, terrified she was about to have an episode in front of his parents. I'm going to go say hi to my grandparents. After lunch, how about I show you around? Give you a taste of rural life. Eleanor snapped back to reality and nodded eagerly. Oh, okay. Leo breathed a sigh of relief. As he looked up, his eyes met David's stern, scrutinizing gaze. His old man's piercing look seemed to warn him. I know what you're up to, kid. In the past, Leo would have immediately crumbled, guiltily looking away. But now his skin was thicker than a fortress wall, his psychological fortitude unshakable. He was certain his father wouldn't dare expose his secret, at least not in front of all their relatives. Dad, where's Grandpa? Leo asked, blinking with wide, innocent eyes as he proactively struck up a conversation. It's been a while. I miss him. In the main house, talking with your uncle and aunt, David replied curtly, then started walking ahead, deliberately slowing his pace to let Leo catch up. Leo knew what was coming. The moment they were somewhere with fewer people, his old man was going to bring the hammer down. Sure enough, as soon as Leo broke away from the group and fell in step beside his father, David grabbed his arm at a corner, glancing around nervously. Seeing that no one was paying attention, he hissed in a low, disappointed voice, "Don't think I don't know what you're doing, you brat. You haven't learned anything worthwhile, but you've gotten damn good at playing two girls at once. Do you have any idea how heartbroken Chloe and her parents would be if they knew what you're doing? How did you turn out like this? 1. Dad, you have to cover for me. Just give me some time, and I'll handle everything. 2. Dad, whatever you do, don't tell Mom. I'm just messing around with that other girl. I promise I'll settle down with Chloe. 3. Old man, you're underestimating your son. You think I'm only playing two girls? Just wait. In a little while, I'll show you what an aircraft carrier looks like. So, Dad, you have to cover for me," Leo said, making a solemn promise. "Don't worry. Just give me some time, and I'll handle all of this." At first, Leo had been hesitant about this option, but the more he thought about it, the more sense it made. David had already seen Lily. Their intimate behavior in the car was clearly not just a friendship. If he tried to deny it, David might just go straight to Sharon, and then he'd be facing a beatdown for both of them. The genius of this option was that it would make David think he intended to break things off with Lily, buying him the time he needed to advance his plans without his father conducting any surprise inspections. Most importantly, the answer had no time limit. Even if David caught him again later, Leo could argue that his feelings for her were deep, and these things take time. Once all his problems were solved, he could even be completely honest with David. Handling everything could mean, "I've gotten them all to agree. We don't need to get married, but that won't stop you from having grandkids. You could even have a few. Nothing wrong with that, right? You promise?" David finally relaxed, glaring at Leo with a warning. "After you marry Chloe, I don't want to see or hear about you being involved with any other girls." Yes, I know," Leo said, nodding obediently. He couldn't resist a little jab. "Honestly, Dad, with all this free time, you should be trying to charm Mom, not meddling in our lives." David's eyes widened. "If I didn't meddle, you'd probably have a whole harem by now." "That's harsh. What do you mean, a harem?" "I'm not some emperor," Leo retorted. His eyes darted around for a moment before he posed a mischievous question. "Hey, Dad, let's say, and this is just a hypothetical, what if I could get them all to be okay with each other, to live together peacefully, and you could have a bunch of grandkids? Would you still be against what I'm doing?" Hearing his son's explosive proposal, David froze in disbelief. He was about to reflexively shoot it down, but the words caught in his throat. Leo noticed his father's subtle hesitation. His own expression didn't change, but inwardly, he bared his fangs. All successful older men were the same, especially grandfathers. They dreamed of their golden years being like the Grandpa and Calabash brothers, surrounded from morning till night by a flock of chubby, cheerful grandkids, all calling him Grandpa. And Leo now had the financial means to make that happen. If he wanted to, he could raise a whole soccer team of sons. Stop talking nonsense. You can only have one. For morality's sake, David finally managed a half-hearted warning. "I know you have money now, but I don't think Chloe is the kind of girl who can be bought. And stop trying to brainwash me with your crazy ideas." All right, I'll stop," Leo said, gleefully placating his father. He had a good read on his father's attitude now. Pushing the topic any further would just sour things. When they entered the main house, his grandfather, Grandpa Shepherd, was in a tense conversation with his uncle and aunt. The atmosphere was thick with a hint of conflict. When Leo and David walked in, a wrinkled smile finally broke across the old man's stern, weathered face. My grandson is back. Grandpa, how have you been feeling lately?" Leo asked with a grin, walking over to sit beside the old man and taking his wrinkled hand. His voice softened. Ever since he could remember, Leo had lived here with his grandparents. It was only when he started elementary school that his parents had brought him to the city. Most children who spend time with their grandparents grow to love them even more than their own parents. So, whether it was the socially anxious boy he used to be or the confident man he was now, Leo's feelings for his grandfather hadn't changed. There was only respect and love. "I'm doing great," the old man said, nodding with a smile, his cloudy eyes filled with an unconcealable joy and excitement. David sat beside them, watching the warm, harmonious scene with a sense of relief, but deep down, a flicker of apprehension he didn't dare show remained.